It is Friday. It is Stash Wars Live. Mike the Sixth Layer, chilling with my main honorable villain, Mark the
So,
honorable villain, and Jason the Southern Comic Geek. What's up, gentlemen?
all good, man. Superman just came out, man. Excited to talk about it.
Man, we're gonna talk about all things Superman, the Man of Steel today. The main topic of the night, ladies and gentlemen, which is better, the movie or the comics? Okay, a lot of people are familiar with the comic book IP these days from the cartoons and also from the movies. But it's the comic books, it's the real bloodline that really pushes the narratives with this. And so we are amongst a very strong comic book community. So we want to get your take. Which is better, the movie version of the comic book characters, or is it the actual comics itself? And then the other question is, because since we're talking about Superman, what makes Superman great from the comic books perspective and from the Hollywood perspective? So we're going to really do a deep dive on the Man of Steel. And from this discourse, we will unpack why we like comics better with the characters or the movie slash Hollywood better with the characters, guys. So we're going to really dive really deep with the Superman Man of Steel stuff. And I'm just checking the comments real quick. What up to everybody? Space Case Collectibles is in the house. Um, while we're here, I didn't even get a chance to do that. The answer is always comics, absolutely. But people come from all over the place sometimes on these lives, and they ask questions about the movies. And some of the prevalent questions is really like, how are they going to stick the landing with some of the stuff with the cinematic universes, whether it be DC, Marvel, Prime, Disney Plus, it doesn't matter. And so, what's more important? Are we putting that much emphasis on it because we like that medium better than the comics, or we just want good representation? But then the flip side, right? Especially with the Man of Steel, it's not like this is one of the most popular comics titles to date, right? So why aren't people, flocking to get Superman comics today? What's missing from Superman? And then when was the last time we actually dug Superman? And then let's extract those characteristics and let's try to Frankenstein or create a character or create a scenario where we are putting together the recipe for a high quality Superman comic. So we're going to talk about that. And as well, as always, because it's a Stash Wars Live, we're going to have a Superman Stash Wars, but it's going to be related around stories that we want you guys to read if you haven't already read it. And it also epitomizes why we think these versions of Superman are the more popular ones. And so, it's going to be a great, great show. But we're starting things off. And one other thing I want to say before, while I do this real quick, because I forgot to do this giveaway tool. So let me get the giveaway tool going, guys, because I do have a prize. Let me get that real quick. Here we go. Let me pick my stream. All right. And as always, hashtag Stash Wars Live, guys. Use your hashtag. I have it up now. Hold on. Let me go here to this stage so that we can get this going. There we go. So use your hashtag Stash Wars Live. I'm going to start collecting comments right now. So use your hashtag Stash Wars Live, guys. And we're giving away Action Comics 1000 foil variant signed by Lee Bermejo. And actually, Lee Bermejo is actually named in the credits of this Superman movie that's just came out today. So yeah, let us know if you guys plan to see Superman. We're definitely going to be talking about that. Mark was at the red carpet, and that is where we shall begin, ladies and gentlemen. So please put your hashtag Stash Wars Live in. We're giving away a hard to find Ask the Comics 1000, but a hard to find signature in Libra Mayo. Um, so use your hashtags, guys. Hashtag Stash Wars Live. And I'm just going back here. We got 3 tonight. The magic number is 20. And we're also streaming live on Stash Wars on Instagram. I don't know what's going on with StreamYard where I can't simulcast these on the IG account anymore. And so I'm doing a little thing where I got IG right here, but I'm telling everybody on IG, head over to the Six Layer station and get the full experience because we got the graphics, we got everything going. Plus, we got the one of the best chats on all of YouTube on Friday. So come check us out. And also, that's where you'll be eligible for tonight's prize. Okay, so we were talking about the red carpet, and we're doing Stash Wars Live and Stats Fan Picks of the Week. Mark, you were there. So first off, tell these cats how you even made that possible. How the hell you were at the red carpet, dude?
So if you're in Los Angeles or New York or I think they do a few other events around the states. There's a website called One Iota, and um, they fill seats and they give out events like this, you know. So I've been using that for a while, and I was lucky enough to be one of the ones selected for the red carpet. There was no promise if I was going to get to actually see the movie. So I was burning out in the sun for quite a while, maybe like 4 hours. 4 hours I was out there just waiting, looking at people taking shots, videos. It was a cool experience though, you know, you get to see all the actors, the cast. I saw the actor that plays Metamorpho, the actor or Anthony Kerrigan, Nathan Fillion who plays Guy Gardner, um, Daniel Corns, David Cornsweet who plays Superman. I saw Nicholas Hoult who plays Lex Luthor. I saw the director James Gunn. You know,
Oh yeah, let me show
but
you all that, man. Let me show everybody all that, man. You over here. We got a whole thing, man. Slow, Go ahead, continue. I was showing them the rest of that clip where it has everything. That
you,
was the widescreen, but go ahead.
but you know they put us like a step behind all the press, so you can see kind of that we're in between like the press and the red carpet, so we didn't really get to interact with the actors and people like that. A lot of the people that were passing by me and that lane right there was the comic talent. So like the first person that passed by me was Marv Wolfman. Said what's up to Marv Wolfman. You know, he was a guest on the show recently. Um, I saw Mark Wade. Mark Wade's always great. You know, I see Mark all the time. Jim Lee passed by. You know, he gave us the smile and everything. Caught him on camera. Frank Whiteley passed by too. There was other
And that was the first time you ever seen Frank, right? You never seen him at a show, but you see him on the freaking red
never.
carpet.
Yeah, and
Unprepared, unprepared.
I really had to use my memory. I was like, I know I've seen I've seen us post videos of him from Como, which isn't me seeing him. You know, that's shots from Chris. But yeah, I really had to like, oh, is this Frank Whiteley? You know, like so I asked him, and he said yes. You know, he was nice. He shook my hand and everything. And he ran off to go see the movie. Uh, so there was that. At the end, I did end up getting a pass to go see the movie.
How did you get the pass though? How did that happen, dog?
So the Chinese theater is pretty big. Uh, and then I'm telling you, it depends on just what you're able to get with this company. So they didn't put us in the big theater with everyone. During the Joker premiere, I went through with the same company, and they gave me a pass to the big theater, and I saw it with everyone in there. I think Jim Lee gave a I think Joaquin Phoenix, Lady Gaga, and Jim Lee gave a opening introduction or something. And then oh, it was Todd Phillips, Joaquin Phoenix,
The director.
and Lady Gaga. Yeah, they gave an opening introduction for the second Joker movie. Um, for Superman, um, Daniel Cornsweet, James Gunn, and Nicholas Hoult gave an opening introduction. But again, they gave us the tickets late, and and um, and they were shoveling us into a different theater where all the celebrities weren't, and all the comic creators weren't in there, and they gave it an introduction, and they gave an introduction like as they were letting us in, but I got some footage of that. I'm not sure if you have that clip, but like they're walking out like they didn't even let us into the theater when they gave the introduction, so you kind of experience the stuff um differently than like someone who's invited to the red carpet and everything. But you still experience it, it's a nice time and everything. You get to see the background of all this stuff and
I
everything.
mean, it's still limited access, and that's the
Yeah.
thing, and that's the whole thing about it. So it's like you're not with the celebrities per se, but you still have to be allowed in that area to even be where you were to get the footage that you're seeing right now. And I just wanted to remind everybody that's on Instagram, we are chilling like an honorable villain on Six Layer Station in YouTube. So like if you want to see the whole production, the overlay, what we're talking about, the Superman red carpet event, because we're doing Stash Fan Pick of the Week right now. If you want to check that out, head over to YouTube on the Six Layer Station. I don't know why StreamYard is not letting us feng shui with IG right now, so I'm doing a simulcast. And Mark the Honorable Villain here is telling us about his experience on the red
So
carpet.
really quick, Anthony Tudyk he plays the Joker in Harley Quinn, and then he's GI Robot, and then he's uh the phos what's his name, Dr. Phosphorus,
Dr. Phosphorus,
right?
yeah.
And and Creature Commandos, right? Those are all his roles in the DC, right?
So
DCU,
he
right?
has multiple characters in Creature Commandos.
I think he's two. Yeah, I think he's GI Robot and he's Dr. Phosphorus.
Okay, yeah. See, you know more. You know more about it than me. Um, and guys, just want to remind everyone right here. Stats Wars Live. The magic number is 20. We're giving away this Action Comics convention variant Lee Bermejo cover signed by Lee Bermejo, and we're giving this out. All you need to do is use your hashtag tonight. Hashtag Stats Wars Live. And magic number is 20. I will spin that thing. We just started tonight. My man Mark is talking about the Superman premiere, and he was at the red carpet checking out all the celebrities. He actually got a chance to see the movie before everybody. And I got a gripe. Can I gripe? Can I get
What's
on my
up?
little soapbox, gentlemen? Just real quick. And this is
What's up?
this is
What's
a
up?
message to all the people that saw the movie that night, pretty much before
Yeah.
the rest of the world, and they were giving their 2 cents, and it was negative comments. To
Yeah.
me, at that point, if you got like negative stuff to say before the whole world could see it, and only a couple hundred people out of millions got a chance to see it, you're kind of sabotaging the movie at that point. You know what I mean? Because like, I can understand if everybody got a chance to see it, but like
Yeah.
you guys had to be invited to even see that movie on that day. I mean, it was with all the celebrities. That's where the actual cast of the movie actually saw the movie for the first time in public. And if you were fortunate enough to actually be there, like Mark was, then great. But at the same time, to shit on the movie before everybody else get a chance to see it, to me is kind of sabotage. Especially the general public already don't like DC movies, and so if you're the first couple people to like rag on a DC movie, it might detract people from seeing it. And so to me, it's kind of foul play a little bit because
Yeah.
there's only hundreds of people that are able to see it on that day, and the movie just came out today. You see what I'm saying? And if you're, and there were cats that I saw on Instagram, and I'm like, oh, okay, you're like shitting on a movie before anybody get a chance to see it, you know? Yeah, see what I'm saying? Like this guy right here. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet, but at least right now, Integrity 101, at least the movie's out. Okay. I could have saw it today. I didn't want to see it today because I was getting ready for this. But my point is, when people give this kind of criticism before the rest of the world can see it, it's kind of shitting on the movie. It's kind of hating on it. It goes beyond just an opinion because everybody can't see it. You know what I mean? And so you're able
Yeah.
to really alter people's opinion days before everyone else can see it. What do y'all think?
You saw what integrity put on as a
Yeah,
comment.
but I mean, but what's your take on what I said? Like that's his opinion, but
Yeah.
I'm saying, what's your thoughts on
No.
people
Yeah.
doing that on Monday?
Well, one thing with this movie especially is that this is kind of the start of this is the breaking point of the not the breaking point. Yeah, it's the starting point of the new DCU. That James Gunn is heralding, and and if you trash it too hard, it's it's gonna be hard to see like what the picture is. What the development is, what this is gonna lead into to to his other movies. Is this gonna be one flavor, and are the other movies gonna be different than this? You know, is this gonna be for a certain audience, and then the other movies are gonna be for a different audience, and different things. So I don't want to ruin anything by like nitpicking and too much negative things. I want to appreciate things for what they are and everything, and then see what everything grows into, and then we can look at it, in retrospective as it folded out.
And I agree with that. And just real quick, you're absolutely right. Integrity 101 is no different than what the critics do, and I hate the critics. Like we don't need critics. We don't need people telling us what to think. If it's good, it's good. If it sucks, it sucks. But it's like at the very least, especially a lot of critics are paid by studios to sway opinions, and that's my point. So a lot of sabotage can happen, especially in this genre where people are already saying they're experiencing a superhero fatigue, and so we want to be critical, but we also want to give a solution as well that can push it forward. And I think that's what you were kind of alluding to, Mark. Uh,
Yeah.
we have to be able to push it forward, or else it's gonna not. We're not gonna have any more of this genre. Um, and that brings me to this right here, which is better. And this is the core of our topic because a lot of people have opinions about movies, right? But is it the best representation, right? I say, we're going to talk about it later, but people have very strong opinions about these movies. But you just said earlier, someone said earlier that these are not even the best incarnation or iteration of the characters. And so to me, putting emphasis or importance on the movie when if it's not the best version of the character, I think it's like, I think you should just let the movies roll off because they're not really putting their best foot forward with the character. And so that's what we're going to be talking about.
Mm.
Yes, definitely get your hashtags up, guys, because we're giving away a Superman comic. And I love the movie discussions and that's why we're here, because this is actually a comic book format show, and we're here when it does add it to the stage. We're here on the red carpet showing stuff like this, but we're at the heart of what we do is comic books, and so we try to promote comic books, get people to read comic books, and the myth was the movies was going to kind of encourage people to read comic books. But SCG, I wanted to get your take on people being critical on the movie before the actual release date, like before the public can see it.
If everybody wants to be first to the table with the hot take,
Right.
and everybody, I mean, not everybody can be like Mark and be invited to red carpet events and wine and dine, taking selfies with all the stars and everything.
Hey, wait. I think I snuck into the Joker one, man. I think I snuck into that
We're
one.
talking about this one, man. I'm talking about old stuff. That was old Mark. This is new, refined Mark.
Oh, he's reformed, Mark. Okay, so, but no, I mean, seriously, I think that I think that it would be better served to just kind of let it settle a little bit, because I know some people that they go one or two times before they really kind of soak it in, right? Because
Yeah,
you're dealing with a character like Superman that's been around as long as it has had, and you have very defined fan bases in that. It's like, so you have this new take. Let's just kind of soak it in and see what my real thoughts are. Because you can have some initial thoughts, but
Right.
you just put them out there and say, "Hey, these are my initial thoughts." Y'all go make your own. But DC needs a win, and a win for DC in the movies is a win for DC in the comics, and so that's the way I see it. But,
yeah,
Absolutely. And so before we end the picks of the week and get into the meat and potatoes and get into this discussion here, so we're all over the place, and Stash Fam is all over the world, and so I wanted to show a couple things from an actual Comic Con in Spain, and it actually deals with Superman artists. For example, we have here. Hold on, where is it at? Where's it at? For example, here we have my man. Shout out to Chronicas de Gotham. This dude ran into Dan Mora last week, and he sent these pics in. And you guys can send us pics as well if you guys go on Instagram at Stash Wars. Submit your pics there so we can show the Stash Fam pics of the week. We like to know what you guys are doing out there in the community, who you guys are meeting, and Chronicas de Gotham in Spain met Dan Mora and Simone De Mayo. This dude's out there making it happen. And then this guy showed up and gave us this announcement.
Y recordad en septiembre la nueva etapa de Batman con Matt Fraction. Ahí no me falléis, ¿eh? Y recordad en septiembre la nueva etapa de Batman con Matt Fraction. Ahí no me falléis, ¿eh?
And that's Jorge Jimenez. And he's from Spain as well. And he's actually took a break from Batman for a little bit to do a little Superman this summer. And then he just announced that he's going to be doing Batman #1 with Matt Fraction. And I think my man SCG was psychic because we did talk about this ad nauseum about Batman #1 being renumbered, even though Hush 2 is being delayed. And so Jorge Jimenez said it right there and let us know, be prepared. They're still coming in September with Matt Fraction. So we got a new creative team of Batman. But yeah. And so Matt Fraction, I'm looking forward to that. I know that's a little bit on the Batman tip, but Jorge Jimenez is doing Superman right now. So I think that's great. And shout out to Chronicas de Gotham for sending us that. And so now we're going to move on to topic number 2. And I knew that this was going to be a banger of a topic because we could talk about really the greater ecosystem of both mediums here. Okay. And so the main question here, guys, and this is for the chat as well. And by the way, you guys will have an opportunity to call in tonight, and it'll be an audio only call. I'll put the link in the chat, and we can definitely continue this dialogue. All opinions are great. We just want to keep everything respectful, and everybody's been respectful, so it's all good. No one's bringing everything down. Integrity 101. No one's bringing the vibe down. Do you feel that way about Superman? And that's fine. Just like I feel that way about people giving negative opinions about any superhero movie before the general public. You know what I mean? Because it's a lot of corporate sabotage going on. And so that's what I mean. Like, because sometimes there's good movies. Like, for example, I heard the Thunderbolts was a good movie. My son saw it; he loved it. But the
Yeah.
Thunderbolts didn't get a lot of pub. You see what I'm saying? And so, and because there was some Thunderbolt negative pub early on that dissuaded people from checking out Thunderbolts. So that's my point. Some movies aren't for everyone, but we want to make sure that the audience, the target audience, gets to see it. And so that's my main point with the whole cinema stuff. But I'm going to ask this question to you, Jason, first, and we're going to kick this going. Okay. So the general question here is Superman, as it applies to Superman tonight. And what is better right now? How is Superman represented better in the movies right now or the comics? And why?
So obviously we're having to put aside the current iteration because not everybody's seen it, right? So I think as of right in the last couple of years, I think it's the comics. So
Okay.
I think it's the comics because I think DC has really got some top tier talent. Philip Kennedy Johnson was writing it. Certainly Mark Waid on the titles that he's writing for Superman, and Joshua Williamson. They've or Jason Aaron for Absolute Superman. So I feel like that they've got a lot of good Superman going on in the comics. And sometimes it's unfair because some things don't translate from comics to movies. And so, as if to me, it doesn't have to be 100%. I think that as long as you get nods and you can say, okay, this is kind of how they had to adapt it,
Right.
you're okay with that because in reality, some of the contortions and the way people move in comics, it doesn't work in real life. It looks funky. So
All right. So Mark, I have to mute you, man. You got some atmospherics in the back, but
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of know the answer to this, but here it is. What is the better iteration of Superman, the
Yeah.
movie or the comics?
Man. The thing is with this question though, the thing is with this question is like you're kind of asking too, is like what's better, this song or this book? It's like that's kind of it's two different mediums. They're two different mediums. They're both visual mediums that tell stories. So that's kind of where we get the crossover, but they're two different things. But what I have been able to enjoy and what comes more frequently and what has the opportunity to tell a mass amount of stories because they're a bit easier to make because you only need maybe like two to five people to make one. Sometimes you can use one person that make it to make a whole comic book. But talk to Daniel Warren Johnson. But it's easier to like put these visions together. I think it was easier to put like All Star Superman together with Grant Morrison and Frank Whiteley. Like to make that like a cohesive thought from one person's brain. The thing with movies sometimes, it gets jumbled up and like we saw that with like the first version of Zack Snyder's Justice League, you know, the one that came out in the theaters and everything. You know, Joss Whedon got in on it, and then it didn't pan out to what. Dude, but I love like Zack Snyder's Justice League, the one that came out on like HBO, the one that like
Oh, the
everyone was
Snyder
hyped for
cut.
and everything. The Snyder cut, you know, that was great, you know. But like you need a lot for these movies, you know, like that was more like one person's like vision and everything. But you know, like, dude, I love like the George Reeves, well, not George Reeves, Christopher Reeve, Superman, Superman
Right,
78, right?
right,
Like, dude, and that movie has gone on, and you know, you can listen to some of our comic origin stories, and like here, like, dude, I saw Superman 78 for the first time, and I knew I had to go make comics. I knew I had to like become. I knew something like that Superman had to be in my life, or comics had to be in my life, superheroes had to be in my life, you know. So so it's a hard question to answer, but you know, like a lot of the times I am enjoying a lot more of the time I am enjoying comics, you know.
Okay,
And
thank you,
then
man. You took us down the road. You took us down it, and
a
I
long
get
long
it.
answer.
Okay, because I definitely want to address integrity 101. Definitely, if you're sticking around, we're gonna take on callers. So we're gonna put the link in the chat in a moment after this segment. And so integrity 101, I definitely want to answer your question. So definitely stick around. We're definitely gonna have a portion. As for um, other people too. So let us know later on if you're here. But we're gonna keep going with this segment. But I definitely want to hear your thoughts, especially since you've been engaging so much in the chat. Now we've been appreciating it. So thank you so much. All right. So my take is, gentlemen, you're absolutely right, Mark. They're two different. It's like a song and a book. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think the real question really is which one has the best iteration, right? So you can appreciate each medium for what it is, and do you feel like you're getting the optimum Superman experience from that medium? In other words, right? And so there's times like you mentioned Christopher Reeves, right? This for
Yeah,
so many people, Christopher Reeves is Superman. You know what I mean? Um,
yeah,
uh, Gary Frank's Superman art, right, is very similar to Christopher Reeves, and we all get that feel, and we all think that that is Superman. Like, to me, when I think of Superman, I think of Gary Frank, and I think of the stuff that he was doing with Jeff Johns, even the miniseries stuff, the stuff off the Action Comics series. And so there have been great Superman artists across time, but in modern times, when you have more of a sophisticated storytelling techniques, right? Where it's not just for kids and it's just, two stories in one comic book, bubblegum storytelling, very formulaic. People are really laying down, you know, real mythos in the 2000s. I would say from the 2000 on, I think people took what Alan Moore and people like that in the late 80s and multiplied it by 20. You see what I'm saying? Where we were getting storytelling every so often, where it was very sophisticated in the 80s, we're getting it more frequently in the 2000s. And then with the advent of image, now we have, I mean, there's all kind of stuff. It's just like, different kinds of stories being told. So to answer the question, comics for sure, because you're able to pull off the most with that character. You mentioned in SCG, there's things that you physically can't do. Okay, live action. But then here I'm going to cheat a little bit. I think American animation is ass backwards. We started this thing and then we lost years ago. Okay, yeah, we for every now and then we'll get a what do you call it? Enter the Spider Verse. Pixar gets a lot of the buzz, right? For that represents American animation, right? But as it pertains to the superheroes, we're still leaning on the legacy of Bruce Timm and Paul Dini. No one's really wowed us really with the superhero stuff. We were surprised by Enter the Spider-Verse, right? Everyone was pleasantly surprised. I don't know about you guys. I came in low expectation with Spider-Verse and was wild, okay? But it's hard that
The
was
first
like
movie.
hard to do that again, okay? But I think Warner Brothers has done a better job than Disney in the animation department. But I think the problem lies, people tend to get bored with animation if it's too long. And so perhaps having more of a concise format between 45 and maybe 45 minutes to an hour and tell a tight story with a lot of action and have it be anthology based, so we can just get like, okay, a Green Lantern story and that's that, or a Superman story and that's it. It doesn't have to be part one, part two, part three. Just give us a one good story, right? And then we haven't used 3D technology that well with DC or Marvel. Like, I'm not counting Spider Verse because like I said, that was one Sony, that wasn't Disney. I'm really talking about Disney and Warner Brothers here, but mainly Warner Brothers. I think they have not used um, 3D tech really well since the Green Lantern series, and they haven't really done it with any feature films really that people liked and appreciated. And so I think they're really dropping the ball on animation, and I think they could pull off animation with these characters better than live action. And I'm surprised that they don't try to go there. And it seems like animation is cheaper to produce, and artistically you can pull off a lot more things. But I think where we dropped the ball as the entertainment industry in the States is that we cast animation in the kids department, the kids programming, the children's programming, and so we can't get really aggressive adult animation. Spawn was the last time we saw it that was like really done well, traditional 2D storytelling that was rated R American. We need to do stuff like that again, but that even was lightning in the bottle. But as far as live action, I think the main problem why I think comics is better than live action is that you can be more creative with the concepts, and I think you have to you're forced to do these tropes in movies, and like they become predictable over time. But it's kind of hard for these studios to break the mold, and once they finally allow a creative to break the mold, everyone thinks that person's a genius, but really is they're gatekeeping creativity. And so I think the reason why people have superhero fatigue really is they're seeing the tropes, they're seeing the storytelling mechanisms being repeated over and over and over again and applied to different characters, and people are just tired of it.
Well, the problem is the price of failure is too high.
Yeah.
And so, like, if they mess up and they release a box office bomb, they lost too much money. And so, like with comics, if there's a failure price, like you issue a couple of issues, it doesn't work out. What'd you pay an artist?
Right,
Peanuts.
right,
Doesn't matter.
right.
So the cost of failure. So these big studios are only going to take so many chances, and that's why when Marvel found like the magic sauce, at least up until Endgame, they found the magic sauce. Everybody wants to say rinse and repeat, and that's where the I think the fatigue is. It's like, no, give me
Right.
something different. Like,
Give them something different for sure,
yeah,
man.
and they're like, nah, we know this is going to bring in X amount of dollars. The problem with that is, again, the cost has gotten so high with what they paid to do all the CGI and the actors and everything else. Um, they can't bring in those box office dollars like they used to, and they're not trying anything new. That's another reason they're not bringing in the dollars they used to do.
Okay, so we're gonna switch the subject and focus and hone in on Superman real quick, guys, as it pertains to comics and movies, right? And so let's stick with the movies because that's kind of been the hot topic because this is the actual first day of the Superman movie. What do you guys feel makes a successful Superman film? Mark, you actually saw the movie. There's actually people in the chat that saw the movie. So I'm gonna lead this topic off with you. What makes a successful Superman movie? And did this current movie achieve any of the things that you think make a successful Superman movie?
So specifically for Superman, man, I don't think I can put a finger on the pulse to say mm, what exactly makes.
Prize, guys.
So you need the supporting cast,
Tonight's
maybe
prize.
like Ma Kent, Pa Kent, maybe some of the Superman family, maybe Superboy, Supergirl, Crypto,
Head over to the Six Layer Station.
and then maybe Jimmy Olsen and Perry White and everything. It's always good to have Lex Luthor in there, either if he's the main villain or not. But there always needs to be conflict. Superman needs to either be questioning. I think he needs to question like if what he's doing is right. If and the movie brought a little of that. If what he's doing is right, what he's doing is righteous. If
I have a question, Mark. Does
what's up?
Superman? Because here's something. Superman's been around for 85, 6 years or something like that, pushing 90.
Yeah,
Superman is pushing 90, guys. Okay, he's pushing 90. Do we really need to know who Lois Lane is and Perry White and Mock is? Like, don't everyone knows that at a certain degree? Like,
yeah.
can we move beyond the origin story phase, please, and just give us a further adventures of Superman story where we could just move. Like, we don't need, I don't care if it's a different producer, writer, or whatever. Like, we don't, all because there's a different regime change doesn't mean that we need an origin story for this generation, bro. Because we're still here. Like, a lot of the movies, a lot of people that were around for Superman 78, a lot of them are still here, still alive. So how many of them, you know what I mean? So how many of these that we need to see? Can we see something unique? You don't agree with that, Mark? Like, do you think
Well,
we really need that?
what about including those characters though? Like, what about like showing Smallville and Metropolis and its supporting cast? Is that out of the question, or is it just about that we don't need to see the ship crashing from Krypton and Ma and Pa raising him and all that? So should we still see those characters? Should those characters be a part of the cast, or is it just that we shouldn't see like him, his upbringing?
I'm saying that we could see any combination of the two. I'm just saying we don't have to start from the beginning all the time. You know,
Yeah,
Ma Kent can be in it, but it could be a scene with Ma Kent. We don't have to see Clark, Ma Kent, and Pa Kent in Smallville when he's a teenager. We don't need to see that. Now, I wouldn't mind seeing it with like a Legion story or something like that. You know what I mean? Where it's like boom, like the movie starts there, and then it's like Superboy and the Legion, and then now he's in the future. That's dope. You know what I mean? That's a further adventure of Superboy. We could do stuff like that. I just think that the tropes. Here we go again. We have to have, an origin story because people don't know that's the myth. People don't know who these characters are. Yeah, we do because there's cartoons that's happening. How many Superman cartoons have there been? I think there's a Superman show on Cartoon Network right now on like a third season or something, and it looks
yeah,
kind of anime looking. It's been there. So kids are watching Superman right now. We're just not watching that, but there's always something. for the younger generation as it pertains to Superman, Batman, Spider Man, and a lot of the popular Marvel characters. And so I think as it pertains to the movies, the imagination is gone. I think Marvel, the one thing, and you know, I'm DC here. I'm I'll battle everybody. All right. I know we live in a Marvel world, but I think what Marvel did, what they innovated, was really the comic book episodic storytelling, and translated it over to cinema. And so when we start seeing those post credit scenes, and this movie bleeds into that movie, and then there's a meta arcing story, and then before it was called Phase One and Phase Two, right? They were just kind of doing it organically, right? And then the Avengers had their own solo story. That was the first time that's ever happened before. But it becomes a system of storytelling. And if it's not utilized in a way where it's still creative, it gets old. And I think what's happening now, just to switch to the MCU for a second, I just think that they're trying to just throw a bunch of characters that really a lot of people don't really know about and don't really care about, or they're using actors that people don't know about or care about that would make us put importance on those characters. And I largely think that, I might be in a minority here on this. A lot of the Disney Plus MCU stuff is watered down trash, and so a lot of it is, X Men '97 had its cool moments. I haven't seen Daredevil yet, so I'm not throwing Daredevil in there. But most of that stuff hasn't really been in that entertaining to me. I wasn't really that impressed with the Ironheart stuff. So to me, it's a little bit watered down. And so going back to DC, and I just want to show this. Okay, this guy here is supposed to bring some of that Marvel innovation that was going on there in the earlier days of the MCU, and he's supposed to bring a little panache to DC. Now, the question is he going to pull it off, right? Um, as it pertains to live action, Superman here, I've heard a lot of people say they didn't like it. Mark, what do you think about this Superman? Did you like it?
Well, like you were saying about the origin story and everything, this movie has like no origin stories. So you don't get an origin story for Superman.
Love
You
that.
don't get one
Already,
for Guy
already give
Gardner,
that a plus point for that.
Metamorpho, um, Hot Girl. So you don't really see into how those characters started. The characters are there and they're put into the story. So yeah, I enjoy that aspect of it because that also leads into like yeah, you could just start using characters now. It's like you don't have to explain to people how they got there. They're part of the DC universe. So like the next movie could just have Batman. The next movie could just have Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, all that. So that's what I enjoy. I didn't like I didn't like that about like the Marvel movies that every character they need to introduce and everything. I think the only person they didn't really do that was with Spider-Man, right? They kind of just threw Spider-Man in there. Um, but this should I give any spoilers to the
No
movie,
spoilers, man. Hell no, dude.
or should,
I move on to
did you see
anybody
the
that's
movie,
watching.
Jason?
No, did
No,
you
but
see?
I have seen some behind the scenes clips,
Okay.
so I have had some things spoiled. But I'm just interested in no spoilers, but on a scale of 1 to 10.
Scale of one
I
to
told
ten.
Mike. I told Mike. I thought it wasn't a home run.
Okay,
In my
out of
opinion,
10.
it wasn't a home run. It was a walk to third. So they, so so
That's
some guy was
a
on second base. Some guy was on second base. The other two were filled, and they hit the batter with the ball, and they walked into third. So
So scale of 1 to 10, man.
on a scale of 1 to 10, so what's that like? Maybe like a 7.5, maybe.
okay.
Okay,
Seven.
all right, all right. What's up? I just want to say what's up to the cats on IG. What up, Mark 767? Hey man, I will see you in LA. Head over to Six Layer Station, man. For all the cats that's on IG, we are having a ball talking about what is better. We got number one comic fan here. Also, movies needed slow time. Seem to be moving nonstop. One thing after another. I agree with that. Um, Movie had great parts, but I thought the humor was too constant. Needed serious moments to be serious. Okay. Was the best Superman since 1978. Superman, I loved it. Okay, so there's mixed feelings. I love that's and that right there, peeps, is why I wanted to have this discussion tonight. Okay, so everybody that mentioned something about the movie, right? Now throw in the comments, what do you like better? For the people that liked the movie, which iteration of Superman is better? The movie versions, whichever one is your favorite. So it could be 78 or it could be this one, 2025, or the comic version, any iteration of that. So because there's people that, there was a guy here, I hope he's still there, that's only a live action person. So there's people that's going to put more credence on the live action medium. So definitely use your hashtag Task Force Live, guys, and please smash the like button. Smash the like button if you're on SCG's feed. Smash the like button, and definitely smash the like button if you're on the Six Layers feed. And then when you get a chance, go to both channels and smash the like button if you appreciate tonight's discussion and House of L Comics. And this seems like he's an avid Superman fan because he's from the House of L. Um, Perfect. Integrity Comics is still here. I love that. We're gonna have the discussion in a second. I love it. House of L Comics is great. So Integrity 101, he's a live action guy, right? And then there's guys, people that are like, so let us know if you like the movie. Still, are the comics better than what you've seen? Okay, so here's my other question, Mark.
What's up?
SEG asked, scale of 1 to 10, rank this movie in comparison to the other Superman movies. Where
That's
does it
exact, dude. That's exactly what I was thinking about right now. So,
rank?
so it's only Man of Steel, Superman, and or the Superman the movie, 1978, and then this one, right? Superman. Those are the only. I'm not gonna throw in um, Superman number 2 and Superman 3 and Superman 4,
Superman
the
4
Quest
was
for Peace.
freaking booty cheeks.
So so I'll say it's for me it's Man of Steel like is I didn't like Man of Steel like
Okay.
I like a lot of Snyder's other films, but I don't like
So
Man of Steel wasn't
are
for
you
me.
going from best to worst or least to best?
Bottom.
Okay. So Man of Steel, go
So
ahead.
so Man of Steel, and then there would be Superman. Superman, what year is it again? 2025. So Man of
Okay.
Steel, Superman 2025. So and then
Uh-huh.
I can give them like numbers. So this Superman is like 5 out of 10. It's only getting like half, man. Or Man of Steel is only like 5 out of 10. It's only getting half. Superman, like I said, is like 7.5. You know, and then give or take, I might need to watch it a few more times, and I might give it or take away from that score. And then Superman the movie, 1978. You know, that's 10 out of 10.
So you
Like,
got Christopher Reeves, then you got this one,
yeah, then
and
Man of
then you
Steel.
have Man of Steel. Okay, so Man of Steel is better than the Brandon Ruth.
Oh, dude, that one's dude.
Oh, did I? Okay,
Honestly,
what?
honestly, I've never even seen that movie. It's kind of hard to get through that one. Honestly,
Bro, that movie
I've
was
never seen the whole
horrible,
thing.
bro.
I've never
That
seen
movie,
the whole thing all the way through. So that one might be
that
like
movie was
they might go
horrible.
in
All
increments
right.
of 2.5. So that one might be like 2.5. Like that might 2.5 out of 10.
Okay, yeah, okay. So at least the Brandon Ruth one is at the bottom of the basement. The bottom of the basement. Superman 78 was magic. You had to be there to see it. I seen it in 78 in theaters 4 times back then. That's crazy. Every kid wanted to be Superman. Okay, which lead this number one Marvel fan, and I love this because you're a number one Marvel fan and you're giving DC props. So I'm just going to just capture this moment right here where DC Marvel is giving DC props, and you wanted to be a Superman and not an Iron Man or an X-Man. I love it. This is great. I caught you. Got you to admit it. Yes. All right. Way back when you were what? I don't know how old you were, but you wanted to be Superman. I love it. All right. Anyway, all kidding aside, great segue, number one Marvel fan, because what makes good Superman movies, right? Like, what is the characteristics? What made Christopher Reeve good at what he did, right? And I'm going to tell you what it was. Okay. Number one, right? Well, I don't know who this guy is. Who's playing Superman now? What did he do before this? Is he relatively unknown?
It's relatively
He's
unknown,
been
right?
in he's been in several things. David Cornsweet.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm unfamiliar with him, but I was going to say that that's a good thing because Christopher Reeves, that was his first role, right? On a movie theaters. I actually, when I went on a
Yeah.
DC Comics tour, I actually saw the picture where they took a picture of Christopher Reeve right when he got the role, and he was like shocked. And so that was
Yeah.
his first ever thing. He was more of a theater guy. And so he became Superman after that. But I honestly think that we're looking too much for name brand actors and actresses when we need to just find the right actor to fit the role. Okay. People use AI generators and all that stuff. Use your organic AI generator, meaning your own two eyes, and cast some people that act like Professor X and act like Superman. There's so many people, especially now, where, as number one Marvel fan said, people used to want to be these characters growing up. So there's an unknown person that would slay at being Gambit, right? Imagine a character that we haven't seen really portrayed well. I know we've seen Gambit, but I'm saying like a really good one, like that looks closer to Jim Lee's Gambit, right? There's someone out there. There's people that resemble these characters, but we want the A-list people. But then with the A-list thing, SCG, as you mentioned, high risk, high reward. So we pay all that upfront money, and then if it's a bomb, then it's like, they crapped out. And so why don't we invest in some up and comers that could actually act and portray these roles and find a diamond in the rough, and then next you might find a fan favorite. Another one, Gal Gadot. Like, I didn't know who the hell she was prior to Wonder Woman, and so I know she was like more international person, but I didn't know who the hell she was. And so finding people that fit the bill, I honestly would want to say that she had to win me over. I wasn't really particularly pleased with her as Wonder Woman in the beginning, but then she kind of won me over. But not to say that Wonder Woman was all that. I'm just saying she's Wonder Woman to me now. There's Linda Carter, then there's her, right? And she's no Linda Carter, but she's the cinematic Wonder Woman. You know what I mean? But anyway, what makes a good Superman? So SEG, you're gonna see the Superman movie. Like, what do you think? What qualities of a story do you think you need to see in order for you to give a good evaluation of it?
So Superman is a tough character for a lot of people, writers, to get because he's not your typical Marvel mold character, meaning that like everybody sees themselves, oh, I can relate to this character because this character is flawed. This character has had multiple divorces. This character's had this, that, and the other, right? That's the Marvel mold. That's the thing that normally separates a DC character from Marvel traditionally. But when it comes to Superman, it's not that you see yourself as him, it's you see yourself as wanting to be him. Now, Tom mentioned something about Superman
Head
78
over.
kids wanting
to
to
the
go
Silk
out.
Slayer station right now. We're having a discussion. I'm giving this away. This,
Kids leaving the theater wanting to turn around and fly, and I can concur with that because I was one of those kids that had underoos, Superman underoos,
Uh-huh.
and so the thing about it is that this is Superman is that person that you want to be, right? Not that you want to fly and all that kind of stuff, but you have that moral code that he's always going to just do the right thing. And that is what's hard for people to understand, I think, especially in today's culture. But and then the fact that he has so much power, but again, it's his moral code that it's what he chooses not to do, not what he can do. It's what he chooses not to do is as important as anything else. And then thirdly, with Superman, is there's got to be a delineation, at least in my mind, between Clark Kent and Superman. And I feel like Christopher Reeve hit it. Now, the stuff I've seen, the spoiler stuff I've seen with Superman thus far, Corn Sweat hits it. Like where he's like, you can see this vibe change when he's Superman versus when he's, and maybe Mark can say if I'm wrong or not on that. But I think that's key to making a good. I feel like Man of Steel, that was the
Yeah.
thing that he didn't get. Like he was always that broody person. That's Batman. Batman's the broody character. Superman is the optimistic one. That's why they go good together. They're two sides of the same coin. They balance each other out, the yin, the yang. And that's why I don't feel like Batman and Superman was a good one because it was broody Superman. And so whatever, that's just one man's take. But I feel like those three things, the delineation between his personality, showing this is who we aspire to be as a country, as a citizen. This is who we aspire to be. And he rises above, I guess pun intended, all of the back and forth that we, especially in a day of social media, we have to deal with. He rises above that. Like this is Republican, Democrat, regardless of skin color. This is the guy I want to be like. Does that make sense?
right. I definitely
Yeah.
understand. It's like he represents kind of like the highest characteristics of like humanity, like
Yeah.
goodwill, altruism. Kind of like being like the big brother to everybody, right? Like he's got everybody's back. He's going to be fair, right? Like those are things that to me, I 100% agree. That's what makes Superman who he is. Like, Superman, he's like the choir boy, right? Like he's the choir boy. Like and I forgot which character used to call him that. But yeah, he's the Boy Scout. He's all of those things where he does the right thing. And the only time he does the wrong thing is when it's just he has no real choice but to do something because the villain put him in a tough spot. But for the most part, Superman has a moral code that's, I would say, him and Wonder Woman, as far as the DCU, they have that kind of moral code thing going on, that consciousness going on, where they look out for for people, all people and stuff. And yeah, and that's what I think Superman should have. But then here's the other thing. All right. So we interviewed John Bogdanoff and Dan Jurgens, two classic Superman artists and storytellers, right? And they always talk about Superman being a rough character, right? And I think you mentioned this earlier, SEG, and they mentioned that it's hard to find a equal yoked villain for him to punch around on a month to month basis because of the fact that there's only so many dark sides, and actually that's how they came up with Doomsday. It was actually Dan Jurgens' design. Doomsday was going to show up in Superman regardless, but they designated Doomsday for the whole Death of Superman thing. So that was what came out of it. But they all got their chance to design Doomsday, but Dan Jurgens, his idea, which was the original one, and his designs was the one that prevailed. And so my thing is this: that's an easy fix, right? because you know what we don't see Superman enough in, and that's why I put it in the background. We don't see him in space enough. Okay, if he did some space stuff, every now and then you don't go overload with it. But I'm saying from a cinematic standpoint, we haven't seen him in space a lot. So like a Superman space story movie would kill. Okay, because then you got villains or weaponry that could potentially harm a Kryptonian because he's not on Earth with Earth's barbaric weapons, prehistoric weapons. Now he's out with Thanagarians and Ranians and stuff like that can really actually detain Superman, right? And so there's things where you can kind of balance the power a little bit when you put him in an environment where he can still. You don't have to put him in like a solar system where it's a red sun. He can still have his. He can still have his Superman powers, but he's going against a pound for pound. The weapons are stronger that can deal with Superman, on his terms. Like we haven't seen that in a cinematic setting yet, and I think that's why. Always being in I mean, Smallville was big because that added a new wrinkle to Superman in pop culture. So like everyone knows he's from Smallville, and we can have those Smallville scenes. But I think it would be better if we could see Superman in a lot of different settings because he has the powers to do so, and he can deal with the kind of stressors that a Batman and even a Wonder Woman can't. And he's sci-fi, so we don't see enough sci-fi elements in Superman. And then I'm going to say this, Mark, about Man of Steel. I like Man of Steel the part where it was just in the Kryptonian ship. Like just
Yeah.
that part where it was Russell Crowe and all of the backstory of Krypton. That was the best part. They just left it there and cut it off, the movie off. I would have been satisfied. But the reason why I like that is because we don't see enough of the sci-fi element with Superman, and I think sometimes taking him away from Earth, um, and away from quote unquote on the nose human problems, and face those in the on the road or in space. I meant to say. I think that'll be better. So I think really, my bullet points would be everything the SEG said plus more sci-fi space. We haven't seen Superman, and you know what's funny? I think the last time we seen Superman fighting space was in Superman 4, and that was garbage.
Oh, come on. Superman 4. Listen, it's really whatever you get used to because Superman 4 was the first one I remember going to the theaters for.
Okay.
Yeah, and so there's a little nostalgic place right here.
Oh, I
And
used to love it back in the day, but then when you go back
yeah,
and see it
it
as an
doesn't
adult,
hold
you're
up.
like, oh, what was I? Oh.
It doesn't hold up. The whole fingernail thing, it doesn't.
Yeah, dude. But I loved it. I loved it back in. I remember I used to come on HBO back in the day, and I used to just watch it every time it came on. So like, I love Superman. Guys, tell us in the chat. Style So Serious is in the house. Guys, tell us in the chat why isn't Superman as popular today as it was back in the day? Because even back in the day, as you mentioned, SCG and number one Marvel fan mentioned, Superman was very popular still. Christopher Reeve was still a celebrity for a decade plus. Even after he was making Superman movies, Superman was popular, and then it made another resurgence in the '90s, right? But why hasn't Superman been as successful as of late? Mark, what do you think?
But is the beginning the 1989 Batman movie? Is that, or are you talking about why Batman's more popular than Superman, or are you
No,
talking
I'm
about
saying why hasn't Superman been as popular today as it has been in the past? Because
just
like
in
Superman
general?
to me is at an all time low in popularity as
Yeah,
far as like in the modern time. It
yeah.
hasn't been this unpopular in a while.
So I think it's like what Dan Jurgens and John Bogdanov were saying to us about. You know, like in the 90s, it was really like the fallout of, this altruistic character. It was the the more gritty characters coming into play, like Punisher, Wolverine, Ghost Rider. People were relating with that more, and I guess the world sucks all the time, but I guess people were realizing, like, everything's getting worse, everything's getting worse, and I guess that's what people more gravitated towards. People like Batman more, people like that gritty character and everything. So I think that's just kept on going over time, and then, like I said before, I forgot what episode I was talking about it. Like, I had the little soapbox. We keep on forgetting and forgetting. So that happened, and people started relating towards the other characters, and then we forget how much we like Superman. Superman's always been a great character. He's had good runs here and there, you know, and little segments like Peter J. Tomasi, Philip Kennedy Johnson, Jeff Johns, and then if you go back, like Jeff or John Byrne and Grant Morrison and everything. So we keep on getting good Superman content, and then like My Adventures Superman the cartoon, and you know, so we keep on getting good content. Well, we just forget. We just keep on forgetting how much we like Superman. So
Really? So you think it's
that's
just an amnesia thing? What about you?
yeah.
What about you, SEG? Why do you think Superman? Why do you think Superman isn't as popular today as it was in the past?
Because I think it's unpopular to for anybody to define good or bad.
Right.
And so in today's world, we have the rise of the anti-hero. There's no such thing as a villain. There's that weird gray area
Right.
where there always used to be the good and the bad, and nobody wants to define it because it offends people. And I
Right.
feel like that's the deal with Superman. It's like, again, it doesn't matter whether you're on one side or the other.
Right.
Superman is the better. Everybody can go. That's who I want to be like. I want to rise above that. And to write it, I think the power thing is a hard thing for some. But to your point, there are ways to get around it, especially in the comic side of things, to get around it fairly easy. But I think that's why. And so people just gravitated to the grittier characters because we live in a grittier world.
Right. And yeah, dude, SEG, you're cooking tonight with your takes because you're absolutely right. I think just the zeitgeist of today is to be an anti-hero, right? Even if you look at Star Wars, like there's no like good versus bad. Now there's like force wielders that do whatever and apply
Mhm.
it however. There's no more good versus bad. We got to have all of the emotional spectrum, no pun intended. Um, uh, uh, Good. It was mediocre for such a. Okay, so all right, style so serious. I'm glad you're here and thank you for coming back. We were off last week because it was 4th of July, and I think it was you or Tony. I think it was Tony that reminded me because I was going to go live last week, and then I found out it was 4th of July, and I was like, I'm a chilling barbecue in the backyard. But style so serious. This is such a great comment because what makes Superman good? Like you said, it wasn't what you was expecting, right? So tell us what the expectations were. I am curious as hell. And with that said, guys, I'm gonna put a link in the chat because I think everybody's I think we're ready to have this discussion. We're definitely still gonna do the stash war in a minute, but I'm curious for everyone's take, and so I'm definitely down to take three callers. We're gonna do one at a time. Whoever hops in first, and here is the link in the chat. And while everybody's waiting, oh, I did the wrong thing. Duh. Keep doing that. While everyone's waiting, make sure you use your hashtag Stash Wars Live, and we are giving away this awesome. I'm gonna put myself on a solo here. This awesome Libra Mayo convention variant, dog, signed by Libra Mayo, guys. head over to the Six Layer Station on YouTube right now and put in Stats Wars Live in the chat. And our magic number this evening is 20, and we are at 7. We have 12 people watching right now. Make sure you use your hashtag, guys. Make sure you head over to the Six Layer Station and put hashtag Stash Wars Live in the chat. If you're on Instagram, head over to YouTube to be eligible to win this awesome Action Comics 1000 convention foil variant signed by the great Lieber Mayho. And shout out to the Southern Comic Geeks. I know he's probably like, damn, I want that. The Royal of Foils. But anyway, okay. So House of I am back. Okay, so guys, let's talk. We're gonna keep talking, but join us in the chat. Um, it's an audio only call, so they'll only be able to hear you. But we're interested in your takes. We've been talking about Superman, and we'll just stay in this room. Hold on one second, wait a minute. Have make sure I have that up. 1, 2, 3, and then I don't have a 4, 5. Hold on one second. It's adding the new slot. Oh, not that. But anyway, so as we're waiting on cats to get in, and I forgot to put a slot here, so I'm glad we're waiting real quick. Let me save this real quick. All right. So we talked about like what we thought was the characteristics of the best characteristics of Superman. We also mentioned and Styles So Serious is in the house. Styles So Serious, can you hear us?
You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Everybody can hear Styles So Serious.
I
All
know.
right, perfect. What's up, my guy? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How about y'all?
I'm doing great. Okay, so Mark was actually at the red carpet, and I'm going to show this while we have you on Style So Serious. So I'm going to show the viewers. So Mark was actually at the red carpet event. Style So Serious. You saw the movie yesterday, right? So without spoilers, scale of one
Definitely.
to ten. Scale of 1 to 10. What are you giving this?
I'm giving this one. I'm giving Superman probably about a 6.
Okay,
Yeah,
a
and that's
six.
not a 6 like it's terrible. It's just like um, this is one of those movies I probably could have waited to watch on HBO Max. If I'm being honest.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, but you saw it, and I thank you for going out and seeing it and supporting it, and watching it because we still need to support the superhero movies, but we definitely need to be honest about things in our assessment. So, my next question to you, um, and this is the prime question of the evening: what is the best iteration of Superman? Is it represented in the movies or in the comics, and why?
Man, that's a hard question because okay, in the comics there's so many different iterations alone. Like I'm a Kingdom Come kind of. I
Yeah.
like that story. Um, but I mean, there are so many different storylines with Superman in the comics. Uh, as far as movies concerned, it's a mixed bag for me in that um, I like the original Superman with Christopher Reeve, of course. Now, and you got to take that with a grain of salt because at the time, the technology that was available to shoot a superhero movie, right? But
I think it
just
still holds
how,
up, man.
yeah, just how like the actors portray these characters, like I can't forget um, um, Christopher Reeves, his take on Superman, and then I think it's Margot Kidder, how she portrayed Lois at that time in the '70s. Now being a very independent woman, and that not really being like a real big character trope back then. You know what I'm saying? Like she kind of redefined how Lois was seen um,
Yeah.
basically throughout, I guess, the Superman universe in the sense. You know what I'm saying? She trying to modernize Superman in that he wasn't always this damsel in distress, that needed to be rescued. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
But here's what I mean by a mixed bag, because I didn't like Superman Returns. Y'all remember that? I think that was the '90s or something like that. But I did like Man of Steel. While some people say, they don't like Man of Steel, I actually kind of like Man of Steel. I had some problems with some of the decisions m- that were made as far as the script goes, as far as like, the whole thing with Superman not saving his own father and all that kind of stuff. That's not a spoiler. You haven't seen the movie by now. I'm sorry. Compared to this movie, compared to like those two, what was kind of missing to me, I'm glad they brought the fun back. So that made like the movie enjoyable. You know what I'm saying? You got to see
Yeah.
Superman being like this hopeful figure, so inspirational. And I think that was what was needed. That was what was missing in like the Man of Steel and other, I
Okay.
forget
Okay.
who directed those. I did Snyder. That was kind of
Yeah.
what was missing in those films, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, in like again the original Superman in the '70s, he wasn't. Christopher Reeve was inspirational. You know what I'm saying? He was like this dignified, um, kind of like put it like this: like he portrays Superman like he didn't look down on humanity. He kind of like admired humanity because like he saw like our in spite of like our failings, our weaknesses, our vulnerabilities that we have, that it's kind of like that, that wanting to um, be like like be like us. You know what I'm saying? But he's so much more than that. So he had to, he has this persona of just being this heroic figure, and that comes across in this one. But I think what took me out of this one, and I'm sorry if I'm going on, but it's kind of like I could tell this is James Gunn's seasoning sprinkled all throughout the movie. Is that there's some things that I want to see Superman have a sense of humor about, but other things it's just like a little bit too wacky for me for it's like for the character of Superman. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay.
No.
Go ahead. Go
No.
ahead, Mark.
Can I say on that note? Yeah, I felt that. I felt like this Superman gave reactions to like stuff that I wouldn't think that he would ever do. It felt a bit out of character, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Like
So, oh, I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead. So,
No.
and to that point, guys, and this is because I want to address one thing before I let you go. Um, style so serious, and is the creative liberties, right? That's the
Hmm.
biggest problem that comic book fans have with the movies is the creative liberties. How far do they diverge? Because our number one gripe is usually, oh, that's not Superman, or Superman doesn't do that, or Batman doesn't do that, or that's not da 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 da. That's not how it is in the comics, right? And so,
Hmm.
but then also the people, right? That the general public, they're the ones that watch these movies more than more than at a greater number than we read the comics. So that becomes the understanding of that character over time. So my question to you, do you think that kind of rage comes from people like comic book fans being upset that the majority is going to have this kind of understanding of the character versus the comic book knowledge of the character? Do you think that's what it stems from?
Maybe a little bit. When I go to watch these movies, I really have I really go in with no. I try to have no expectation. Now, there's always some kind of bias because just the history of the character, right? However, uh, I think that like there was some there, and this is not a spoiler. I promise you. Like I like the fact that Superman has an argument with and it's like a romantic interest argument. You know,
Yeah.
you probably never really seen that in a Superman movie. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't really following the shows or anything like Smallville or anything like that, but
Yeah.
and just like like what's going on in the back of my mind is like this is the most powerful being on the earth. What happens when you make him really mad? Or he's out of you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think they held to that Superman has to be controlled at all times. In a sense, I
Yeah.
think they held to that. Like he's aware um, of just how powerful he is, and how that could be a burden. You know, what I'm saying upon him. I think they've held to that standard as far as Superman's concerned. That he's holding back. Like this is not somebody that's always like even when he's fighting, he's not always going at full strength. You know what I'm saying? It would depend on the circumstance. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh,
if that makes sense.
last question, Style So Serious, because we know you're a
Sure.
comic book fan.
Yeah.
What's the best Superman story you ever read?
Ooh. Man, because there may be some recency bias here, but uh,
Tell
I
us in the
kind of
chat,
like
guys. Tell us in the chat.
I kind of liked most. I think Superman Lost. I kind of like Christopher Priest short series on Superman when he wrote Superman Lost. So
Bet, man. Style So Serious, man. Thank you so much for your insight, man. You got a home here on the Six Layer Station, brother.
man, I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all keep doing what y'all do.
Thank you, man. Peace.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Let us know. Let us know right here. Here's the link. Let us know what you guys think about Superman in general, the movies. If you haven't seen the movie yet, like SEG and myself, if you haven't seen the movie yet, what have you thought about Superman, the movies in general, in comparison to the comics? Now, someone said something here I want to go back to, and that's Mark Howell here. The movies are definitely more accessible, right? And so
Agreed.
I, I agree with that. And I want to go back to that point because people say, "Oh, well, that's not my Superman. That's not my Spider Man." Like we hear that a lot, and it's usually the creative liberties that the other medium takes, right? And then like we've interviewed quite a bit of animation adaptations of comic books, right? Greg Wiseman and Sean Galloway. He did Mike Mignola's Hellboy, right? Did the first Hellboy movies and stuff for animation. And the one thing that the studios are looking for, they're looking for unique character designs and unique. So like they're trying to go as further away from the canon as possible because they want to create their own identity with that character. So like that, and so that's I had to come to grips with that because we have to understand that that's the primary thing they're trying to do. They want to shake shit up. You know what I mean? They want to make the penguin a female. You see what I'm saying? They want to do stuff like that because it gives them a little bit of ownership, right? At least from the creative standpoint, where it kind of stands out. Now, if it works, legendary. But if it doesn't work, then people are gonna gripe about it. Mark Howard, Kingdom Come is a great Superman story. So is the Death. Now, okay, so are we calling Kingdom Come a Superman story? See, I've always thought Kingdom Come was a DC story because it has pretty much everybody in it. And yes, Superman is a main thread in it, but I would say that will be a major win for Superman if we're calling Kingdom Come a Superman story. And have you guys ever thought of Kingdom Come as a Superman story? Like you put it in the Superman category. I've always put it in the DC category. Like it goes with, like Justice, for example. And, just any miniseries that involves the Justice League and the DCU and stuff like that. Like, yeah, and Superman is going to be you if you're doing a story in the DC universe and it has everybody in it, like the big guns, Superman's gonna play a big role. Like he's gonna be one of the lead characters, and if you know in the whole story. So, but to say Superman, I mean, I would that would be the win. But to me, I'm going to give because we live in a Marvel world. You know what I mean? I'm going to put Kingdom Come in the DC bucket because DC as a whole needs that win. You know what I mean? Like not just Superman. Like the entire publishing line needs Kingdom Come. You know, it needs to represent the whole line. Superman. Um, yeah, I think Superman. It needs. Superman needs something. It needs help in a way, and I think in the comic sense. And let's switch gears, right? So we talked about what makes DC or Superman movies rock. What makes Superman comics, right? Like what are the comics lacking? You know, I haven't really got into the Philip Kennedy Johnson run until we interviewed him, and I was very pleasantly surprised with that. But as you mentioned earlier, Mark, it's been like every 5 years to 10 years, there's a decent Superman run or story. So whether it's
But
a miniseries or within the ongoing titles, and so let's start with you, SCG, because the movies is the one thing because as Mark Howe mentioned, they're more accessible, right? But what makes a good Superman comic?
Um, if they're not going to put him in outer space, I feel like you got to have. He does better in a group setting. So I feel like he's always, with the Justice League or some other or Justice Gang surrounding him. I feel like he does better in that setting, um, in the comics world. And so one of the things that recently they were doing with Action Comics in particular is having this whole Superman family thing going on. Really making a big to do of that, which is really kind of a becoming a trope because with the whole Spider Verse and everybody's got a million versions of every character out there because nobody wants to create a new one or can't create a new one. But yeah, but I felt like the dynamic worked because Superman does come off as that dad type figure in there,
Right.
so I can see where that works, and I feel like the was it Tyler? What's his last name? Holken. The series that just ended. The
Holtham?
Superman,
Oh, the
No.
Lois and Clark one.
the one that the one that just ended.
The CW one that just ended. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Whereas the Suns is based on the Suns.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I get those kind of vibes, with him in a father type role, and so, he picked up those two extra kids in the whole Philip Kennedy Johnson run. So I feel like him surrounded by a bunch of people works. So
Yeah. What about you, Mark? Like what? And because we're gonna go to our third topic and actually show these
Yeah.
books. Did you want to go to the third topic? Let's go to the third topic. So we're going to show um, Superman comics that we think stand the test of time, and hopefully these are some of your favorite Superman stories. So let us know in the chat if these actually made your cut. Okay.
But look at Mike. I can kill two birds with one stone. I can answer your previous question, and I can say what makes these. I kind of give like a general idea of like what makes these comics good. You want me to just go off and give
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're on topic three, man. We're on topic three. Stash war
okay,
time,
so
baby.
I kind of feel like the the general idea with these ones is that they kind of shake Superman down to his core and they put him in a dire situation, either emotionally, um, with his own ideals, or they put him in. a situation where that he really can't escape it. So so like with All Star Superman, first issue they say that Superman's dying, and they say that I'm not sure how long they give him and everything, but what Superman chooses to do with his time that he has left on Earth, he continues to do his daily tasks, and and I can't remember, right? He gives Lois Lane his identity, and so he finally has that relationship with her, with Clark Kent and everything. He has that situation with his parents and everything, and then Pa Kent finally dies. Sorry if I'm giving spoilers to this.
Yeah, but we
How
don't need to
old?
summarize the story. Just tell us why you
Yeah,
like it and what makes the Superman.
but like, he carries on. He carries on within this dire situation and everything. So that's my main thing with this one. And the same thing with Superman Birthright. He has revelations about his Kryptonian parents. Mark
So you got
Wade,
you got okay, birthright. Okay.
Mark Wade, great. Lionel Francis, you, great. And then same thing. Superman has to carry on. Superman has to be that guy. He has to. There's this situation within himself that he has to deal with. Um, and then that's kind of what it's about. It's not about him like having to fight a big character, a big villain. It's mostly about him dealing with this problem and how he carries it out. And then Doug Mankey, man, Joe Kelly,
Yep. Yep.
Manchester Black. Manchester Black comes to town, and Superman's kind of feeling that thing that that the audience felt during the death of Superman. Superman's getting bland. Superman's not like the anti-heroes and stuff. There's people that are edgier than him and will do th do things at greater lengths than him. And so Superman has to find out a way how to deal with that situation, you know, and still be Superman and still be altruistic, and how to show people that show the people that his way is the right way.
Okay.
His way is a good way of doing things. This I don't think this story really has that, but classic John Byrne origin
Yeah.
story, classic origin story. So that's the reason why this one's on the list. If I was gonna switch this one out, it'd be the death of Superman. I just didn't want to take it out, honestly. So so that one you deal with like there's a kid who likes Guy Gardner and everything, and Superman has to fight this big monster, and people aren't appreciating Superman, and he gives up his life. You know, he gives up his life for the city and the world,
Just go
and
through what
then
you like. You don't have to go through the story. We don't want to, because we got quite a few books, but so kind of be a little quicker.
yeah, so that's my last one. So again, Superman dealing with the Black Mercy, dealing with another life that he didn't live. Alan Moore, great stuff.
SCG in the place to be. We're talking about our favorite Superman stories. We want to know. We don't want to go too much into like the story, but like what you like about it. Something about the creative team, shit like that. But let's keep it to what we like, because like for me, we want them to read it.
Yeah.
We want them to know. We want them to know about the titles, who's behind it. We want them to read it, but and then they tell us about it. But we don't want to spoil any story. I don't care how old it is.
Okay. So if I say something about the death of Superman, is that officially a spoiler?
That's not a spoiler.
Anyway, yeah. So let's go classic death of Superman. Where have you been all your life if you
The
haven't heard?
Return.
And if I come into the Sig Slayer house, I got to bring some Sigs, right?
There we go.
So a little chromium goodness right here. I actually like the death of Superman Probably better than the Rain, but there again, I was a Superboy fan after it all was said and done. So good stuff. All right, so 30th anniversary, eight time sign.
8 times.
8 times? Man,
Yeah,
damn.
Simon's been.
Woo.
yep.
Woo. Oh, he coming with heat. SEG came with some heat. He wasn't playing.
Look. I figured it was going to be brought, so I had to bring it. So
Hey, SEG, let's put a pause. We have a caller here, and this is the Integrity 101, and we're gonna come back.
okay.
Okay,
Hot take. Let's see.
Integrity 101. Can you hear us?
I hear you. Can you guys hear me all right?
Man, you
Perfect.
sound crispy. You sound crispy.
Nice.
Okay,
Now,
so here we go, man. I love this. First off, is this your first time checking out Stash Wars Live?
yeah, I'm coming in totally blind. I don't know you guys at all. I'm just looking
Oh
for
man,
Superman
hey,
stuff.
number one, thank you for hanging in with us. We're almost 2 hours in, and we love your engagement, and yeah, we appreciate it. So first off, you are our second caller that actually saw the Superman movie. So my question to you, with no spoilers, tell us why you did not like the movie.
Oh man, it's way too silly for me.
Yeah,
It's basically Disney finally made a Superman movie. I mean, I understand it's not really
Marvelous did.
Disney. I understand it's not actually Disney, but it's basically the first Disney Superman movie, and man, that's not for me. To me, I go back to we all remember Batman and Robin, 1997, Joel Schumacher,
Yep, yep,
right?
yep.
And then if 7, 8 years later, we reboot with excuse me, with Christopher Nolan, and everything
Yep.
gets
Yeah,
serious. To me, this is doing the opposite. We're rebooting with a Batman and Robin. Like take Thor Ragnarok a few years ago. To me, I for a few years have been calling that basically the 21st century Batman and Robin. I hated that movie. It's just getting too silly for
yeah, it
me.
is.
I like to. It's cool if people like it. I mean, like whatever you like.
Right.
But to me, we're really going backwards. And I like this. I like to say that in 2005, Batman Begins changed the superhero genre for the better.
Yeah.
And in 2012, although Avengers is a good film, I really think it changed the genre for the worse because
I didn't like
everything.
the first Avengers. In fact,
I didn't
I didn't
either.
like the first Avengers.
Well, they've been copying it with every movie for like a decade. I mean, in a nutshell, not exactly, but in a nutshell, everything's we got to have 100 heroes. Everything needs to be 50,000 jokes in the middle of a fight. Everybody's got diarrhea of the mouth that leads to a stupid joke that doesn't land. And if it does land, it definitely does not land on repeat viewings.
Man,
As,
I
as
love your takes. I got to ask this question, okay? Because you know your stuff. Um, what makes okay? Because you're a live action guy first.
I'm
So
not a comic guy. I own like 5 comics. I have. I don't think I've ever even read it. I have one Superman comic I need to read. I've had it on the shelf forever.
okay, so we're gonna show you. We're gonna go back to the dope Superman comics that we highly recommend, and we're gonna show you them. But I'm curious. So what was so your live action? You mentioned Batman Begins, so already you're kind of singing to me already because Batman Begins is probably the most important superhero movie because it did start it all. Um, but my question to you is, what's your gateway? Like, what do you consider classic? What do you consider like untouchable in the live action realm?
Superman 78, Batman 89, the Nolan stuff, and I'm a Snyder guy. I like the Snyder stuff. I'm a big Batman and Sam Raimi, but I'm mostly Batman, Superman, Spider Man.
Okay, okay. So you like the Toby stuff?
Yeah, Richard Donner
That's the
stuff,
good stuff.
Chris Nolan
Yeah.
stuff, the Sam Raimi Spider Man stuff, and I'm a Snyder guy with his 3 specific movies.
All right, the dude,
Okay.
fantastic. Okay, so last question, Integrity Comics, Integrity 101. So, dude, this has been awesome. What was the last time you had a great movie going experience as it pertains to superhero movies?
Zack Snyder's Justice League.
So the one where
You
they
saw it in
did the
theaters?
Snyder cut or the
Yeah,
OG?
No, that's not. Hey, the OG is Zack Snyder's Justice League. Whatever that crap they put in, that's not even his movie. He never even saw that movie. I don't know if you guys know that. And remember, just use some basic math here. It's a 4 hour movie. They cut out 3 hours and then reshot an hour. So how do you
Yeah,
cut out 3 hours of Zack Snyder's movie and it's still his movie? I mean that's
Right.
just simple math. 4 hour movie, cut out 3 hours, add in a new hour. That's not his movie. That's something else.
yeah.
That's executives that don't want to. Well, I don't even want to get into it. But go ahead. Any other
Okay, so
questions?
my last question: are you into any of the superhero animation stuff?
DC stuff, absolutely.
So, like, you're big on Bruce Timm, Paul Dini, Batman animated series, Justice League.
Batman the animated series, love it. Superman the animated series, love it. I was actually thinking about trying to put a fan edit together and like turn it into a movie, but that's kind of difficult. But yeah, the animated. I'm Batman, Superman, pretty much everything,
Yeah.
Word, man.
except for this new one.
But, man, Integrity 101,
Yeah.
thank you so much, man, for hanging in there with us and joining us. Please subscribe. I know we're
Art,
talking about comics, but we will be talking about live action stuff, usually on Fridays as it pertains to what's popping right now. Obviously, this is Superman weekend, so you know we're going to talk about Superman movie and then the greater ecosystem of it. So I really appreciate your engagement. And yeah, man, stick around because we're about to talk about our favorite Superman comics right now, and of the 21st century too, for the most part.
well, do you have time for a question or no?
Hell yeah!
I mean, I'll hang out until you guys kick me off, but whatever you want to do is fine. Now, look, as a live action guy, my question. Now, you guys are all comic book guys, right? You're all into the comic books and
Yeah.
everything. So,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Everything.
I my question for you is, when I look around and I hear this isn't comic accurate, this isn't comic accurate. Define comic accurate because nobody defines anything in any conversations anymore. I want to know what is actually comic accurate. Is it you have to go back and be accurate to the first comic book, like Superman? I guess it would be called issue number 1, or is it the most popular comic book? And what if two different Superman comic books are completely different, but they're both highly regarded? Which one is the accurate one you pick from? And then for me as a live action fan, if I haven't, this is the facts of it. I haven't missed Superman or
Cooking,
Batman.
you're cooking tonight.
Well, I haven't missed the Superman or Batman film in decades in theaters, and
Yeah.
but I'm not a comic guy, so does my opinion not count? I mean, I'm not asking like you don't have to sugarcoat anything, but what am I supposed to do as a fan? Like, do I need to study a certain amount of comic books to be for my opinion to count? Like, what am I like? If I'm forking over money every time there's a Batman and Superman movie, what are studios supposed to do?
Man,
You know
all
The
what I
right,
mean?
opinion
SG, I'm
matters.
gonna give it to you first, man. I
What
got
do
an
you think?
answer, but he asked that's a pretty straightforward, awesome question, by the way.
Yeah.
Um, definite answers, but I'm curious to hear what SEG got to take on that. So, what is the official comic book version? Is what he's saying.
Whatever your bias, it's confirmation bias. So it's whatever you grew up with. I mentioned earlier that Superman 4 was not bad. That's because I went to the movie theater and saw it, right? And so there is no definitive deal. And you know, a lot of people will say, "Hey, this is my definitive deal," and then that's okay, right? But I think the best ones have always had tinges of a little of all the best stories, right? Little Easter eggs. I think that's something that Marvel's done fairly well at having to adapt it to a newer deal. Because to your point, Superman, way back when it first came out, action comics, is not the Superman of today
Right.
by far. So
All right, Mark. What is the definitive comic book version? Because people say that's not my Spider-Man, that's not my
Yeah.
Superman. People really bitch about this, and as a live action fan, that's a great question. I never really thought about it from that kind of clarity, but I have an answer. But go ahead, Mark.
So sometimes people will say that without fully knowing like what's in the comics. Sometimes there'll be recent books that make new revelations and new things. So sometimes things will turn out to be comic accurate, you know. Not like I'm saying that they change the comics retroactively to fit the movies because sometimes they do that. But I'm saying that there's always things that the movies pull that are deep cuts and everything that's like, yeah, actually this happened in this comic. Actually, this happened in this comic. But to be fully comic accurate, I don't think a movie really needs to be. I do like what Jason's saying that yeah, pull a little something from all the good books and all the good things and make your own. Just make it a good movie, man. That's all I care about.
Okay, so here we go. All right. So you with this, Integrity?
I'm here, man. I'll hang out.
Okay, so here's my take on it, man. Awesome question. Well, number one, you're absolutely right. Right, every 10 to not even 10 years anymore, Batman is rebooting in September, and it just renumbered in 2016. Okay, so not even a full 10 years, and we're rebooting and we're starting a new kind of soup Batman for, I guess, a new generation. I guess I don't know. The same people are buying these comics. I don't see why they need to do all this crap all the time. But I say that to lay down something. Okay, now there is something called canon, right? And that canon gets redefined every 10 to 15 years, right? So it's really about what's the overall zeitgeist of that character of that generation, right? For example, Batman doesn't shoot a gun, right? Well, Batman in the 40s, this dude was packing like a mofo, right? So okay, so what Batman, and this is your question, Integrity 101, which Batman are we is the main reference point? And I would say the whichever is the most popular Batman today, right? And so that's not a clear-cut answer, and that's number one reason why you as a movie fan should not give a shit at all. Because number one, the studios, they're intentionally making things that diverge from the comic books anyway. So if we wanted things comic book accurate all the time, we would not enjoy these movies because it's their intent to shake things up so they can have a little creative ownership of that iteration of the character. So it's really about, okay, and now here's the part where people draw the line. Okay. And here's the main point, here's the main answer to your question. It's when the character goes avidly against the entire publication history. You see what I'm saying? So, for example, Batman does not fly. Okay. Batman is not an alien. Okay. So, like, when you start changing the actual the character, the nuts and bolts, the foundation of the character, that's when, and trust me, there's authors like Tom King that he changes the character, the fabric of the character, even within comics. Okay, so it definitely happens. And so to answer your question, it's like if the movie or the TV show, for that matter, if it's something that's totally a unique rendition for that medium, right, where there's not a comic book version of it that exists, that's what people hate. Now, if it's something where people could say, well, actually, Wonder Woman in the 1970s, she wore a fucking business suit for a couple years, right? Right? So if there was a Wonder Woman movie where you never saw her in her Wonder Woman getup, right? There's a comic book precedent for that. And so comic book fans are actually continuity whores. So the real hardcore fans would dig that. It's when there's nothing in any page, not even a mini series, right? That's when people start to bellyache. And so it has to have some comic book precedence. Now here's the thing. Comics book been around for almost 100 years, over 100 years, but superheroes almost 100, almost 90, right? And so we have generations of informed and uninformed comic book fans, and that's what creates the confusion, because there's old school fans that ain't caught up with the new shit, right? And then so they might bellyache and say, "Oh, that's not my Spider-Man too," right? That's not in the comic book too, because the last time they read Spider-Man was in 1978, and you know what I mean. And so the stuff that they're basing the movie on is the Bendis stuff from the 2000s, right? So it's a lot of confusion. But at the core of it all, to answer your question, the correct answer is when you can't make any reference to a page and it's something that just was created for the video game, for the TV show, for the movie, and people don't dig that creative direction, that's when people bitch. But if it's something like, for example, if Penguin was a woman in the comic books, right? Like Penguin was a woman in the Batman animation stuff on Amazon, and people didn't like that, right? Because Penguin's always a guy, right? You're Peter Panning the Penguin. Damn, Peter Panning the Penguin, right? You know, people didn't really like that, right? Because we've never seen that before. So that's when the comic book community draw the line. Now, if one guy, for example, somebody said actually Superman flying isn't comic book accurate. You see what I'm saying? That's someone that knows that Superman leaps tall buildings in a single bound, and he's not just flying
Right.
in outer space and stuff. So that's your answer. Integrity 101. Did that settle it for you?
A little bit. Somebody's got some background noise. You might want
Let's see.
to.
Okay,
But
go ahead.
yeah, but now the problem with that, the way I see it, is how are we not basically putting directors in a no-win situation? Because the goalposts are always moving. Some new guy takes over your comic book reboot, and now this is the new popular version, as opposed to the previous popular version. And he doesn't want to do whatever the new popular version is. So now is the new director forced to do whatever the new most popular? Do you get what I'm saying?
No, so that's my point. So like one, the true hardcore comic book fans will accept it if it's on a comic book page. So that's one thing. It's only when it's not on the page. Two, I said earlier that the studios are deliberately trying to do things divergent from the comics. So it's stupid for comic book fans to bitch about it because that's their intent in the first place. So like people like you who like the live action, y'all can just enjoy it for its own merit because that's what the intent of the studio. So they're not really trying to acquiesce to the comic book guys that much. They just want a little bit of the backstory so they can know what to tweak and what not to tweak, because you don't want to categorically isolate the comic book fans either. So it's that sweet medium. But it's only when they do something that has not occurred in any way, shape, or form in the page. That's the solid answer. But otherwise, comic book fans and nerd fans in general will always find things to bitch about. And I think bitching about, oh, this is not my Superman, this is not my Batman in a movie, to me is kind of counterproductive because that's what they're trying to do. It's like they're trying to. So it's like, for example, I hate the last Jedi, right? Because it was such a divergence from everything. But then there's people that like the Last Jedi, right? And so it just depends on, there's going to be people that like the Superman and like the humor that it brings and like the creative risk that he takes because they're tired of the broody, Superman from the Snyder era. So my main thing is, enjoy the movie. If either you liked it as a movie or you didn't. And to me, these superhero movies, they're movies at the end of the day. And if they're good movies, first, everybody's happy. And so, but if people try to make movies to appease any kind of audience instead of just what's going to be the dopest shit you can put on the screen, if that's not your motive, and so that's the thing with these movies nowadays is that they're trying to cater to certain audiences, but really at the end of the day, the audience wants to see a cool version, something new, not something recycled, and that's really what has plagued all the superhero entertainment, even in the comics, is that it lacks creativity and taking risks. And so in the movies, I'm all about taking risks because it's a medium where it's not really going to roll over quite well in the first place. And so you got to be able to adapt. And that's what SEG was saying earlier. So you're going to have to modify the story in a certain way to fit that platform. And so yeah, definitely Integrity 101. That's what it is. It has to be. It has to exist. Some nerd somewhere can say, no, actually, in 1954, there was a backstory where Superman actually, did blah blah blah. He was a pimp. You know what I mean? He was a pimp. He was into a pimp in disguise. Like whatever. I'm just bringing up something random. But the main point is, it has to exist in the page. If it's not on the page, then it's going to bring rage. There we go. If it's not on the page, it's going to bring rage. Now, there's a lot of people that are unaware of the history of these characters because they're almost 90 years old. And so I think a good movie director or developer or whatever should take some obscure points that is kind of forgotten and over embellish them in the movies and stuff. So I think the best sweet spot for movies and Hollywood in general is to take something that has the road less traveled, but then develop it and diverge from there, and then everybody's happy. Yeah, Integrity 101. Thank you so much once again. We're going to continue this stash war. We're about to show you what Superman comics to read, man. Thank you once again, brother.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. All right, so SCG.
I think you took yourself out of the studio when you made me big. You there?
I'm doing it now. Hold on.
There you are.
Here, hold on.
Cool, cool, cool.
And Mark's back.
There we go. There we go. So SCG, now making you big again. Superman Stash War.
All right, so we already established Death of Superman, the 30th anniversary. Let's talk about some new stuff because I figured like some of the old stuff would be like this stuff's readily accessible. Go to your local comics shop, support them if you have one, and got to go with World's Finest.
Okay.
You can pick up this book, and if you're a long-time reader, you'll notice all the Easter eggs. And if you're not, you'll still enjoy it. Not only the art, but the story. And so that's a rare mix this day and age. You usually get one or the other, not both. But you're dealing with a seasoned storyteller like Mark Waid. A lot of fun stuff here. And this kind of dances outside of continuity per se, so you don't have to really get up in arms if it's not your guy.
World's Finest. That's a great choice. Great choice.
Yeah. So everybody keeps harkening back to Superman 78. How about the comic version of Superman 78?
Ooh.
Yeah, so this was a short miniseries. I think there were 6 issues. And so they also did a follow-up called Superman 78 Iron Curtain. But yeah, so Robert Venditti did the writing. I talked to Robert Venditti about this book, and he said, I always wanted to write a Superman book. And so I feel like one of the big deals, and this is why Richard Donner's movie resonated, was because he was so adamant on giving a good Superman story, because he was a comic book fan himself. And I feel like that's kind of the difference, but that's another subject. Point being, Superman 78, the artist goes out of his way to draw Superman like Christopher Reeve. So that adds to it too. This is a cover by Miko Suian. Homage to the Jim Lee cover there. And this one took forever for it to come out, but finally came out.
Oh, yes.
Is the Superman Last Days of Lex Luthor. So Mark Waid, Brian Hitch, Kevin Nolan. I think y'all know this guy, right?
Yes, David Marin, man. Shout out.
So I thought that would be a good plug there. So finally, this one finally came out. This is one of the Black Label books. So again, it dances outside of continuity, so nothing to get up in arms about. But another good read, easily accessible.
Word. Okay, so that is your let me go back to that. That is your 3. I'm just catching up with some of the comments. I respect the I'm a laughable comic reading concept when they changed it. Yeah, and definitely Joe Familia. I'm not saying all comic book fans. I'm saying some. There's always somebody bitching, dude. You gotta understand. Like, not all of us in the comic book community is gonna be cool with everything. There's always gonna be somebody Your happiness is somebody's sadness, and that's the thing. But I accept them too, and that's why I evaluate these comic book movies and stuff based on film and movie evaluations, not based on superhero stuff, because you can diverge from the comic book and it can still suck. So if the story sucks, the story sucks. And a lot of times the cinematography is going to be great, but so you got to match the story with all that shiny, sparkly stuff. And then we go here. Comic book nerd are just hipsters that are mad that their favorite band sold out. There we go, man. Mark Howell's cooking tonight, man. Yeah, dude. That one kid. Yes, exactly. These are great comments, guys. I'm just trying to catch up. Okay, so I'm about to drop mine, the Stash War Time 6 Layer Edition, and shout out to the Southern Comic Geek for coming with so much heat, man. An 8-time sign. He did a Death of Superman joint I haven't seen before.
Oh no! Now he's gonna try to show me up now, Mark.
Oh God,
He's thinking
man.
he's pulling from the stash.
I can't. I got everything pre-picked, so
Oh,
everything
okay.
pre-picked, and I'm gonna go in chronological order. So my Stash War. So I'm busting out, the first appearance of Doomsday. So I'm starting with the Death of Superman stuff, and this is signed by John
Three times.
Bogdanove, Louise Simonson, and Mike Carlin. Um, pretty much here. We're having a Stash War, guys. IG, head over to the 6 Layer Station on YouTube. And YouTube, make sure you guys are smashing the like button. We're having a great, great time tonight. Smash the like button. Subscribe to the 6 Layer Station. We host interviews with the best comic book talent every week, okay? And we'll talk about that later on. And definitely subscribe to the Southern Comic Geek if you haven't already. As I keep going here, this is Dan Jurgens, Brett Breeding. These guys signed last year in Baltimore. And then I've been had these signed already. Here we go. I love this cover. This cover like kicks ass. You got John Bogdanove, Mike Carlin, and Louise Simonson. That was signed on Superman Day. And then the Death of Superman here. Love that. And then here's the variant, the Tombstone variant of that. Double signed here. We're having a Stash War. I keep forgetting I got to show the cats on IG. This is the first appearance of all of those Supermen, signed by like everybody damn near. Louise Simonson, Dennis Janke, Mike Carlin, Doug Hazelwood, Dan Jurgens, John Bogdanove, Walt Simonson, and Brett Breeding, man. This is tatted up. Let me see. Is it
I
8
told
times
you, Mark.
signed? 1, 2,
I told you,
3,
Mark. I knew he was
4,
gonna bring it.
6, 7, 8. All right, 8 times signed. Okay, so we tied. 8 times signed. I didn't know that was gonna be 8 times signed. But here we go. This is the Death of Superman, guys. This is a worthy Superman story to read, just because it broke all kind of records. I mean, we interviewed John Bogdanove last week. Check that out, and Dan Jurgens, and they both talk about on their own accord how they got death threats because they killed off Superman. Okay, that's how crazy this was in the 90s. And moving on, and then this story here, Superman, Batman, Public Enemies. I love this. This was one of my favorites. This was back when Ed McGuinness, was with DC. Now he's a long time Marvel. Ran Superman books. Let me see them, fellas. We showed some heat, Joe Familia. We just showed some. And then here we go. Here's cover B. Ed McGuinness, Jeff Loeb. And then the Supergirl story. Get Supergirl. This is called Superman, Batman, Supergirl. That's the graphic novel, and this is part 1 of it. And this is the late great Michael Turner, Jeff Loeb, and Peter Steigerwald. And then here's another one signed by the 3 of them. And then this right here, I showed this before. This is still a part of that same storyline as Supergirl, but this is the Jim Lee cover. But this was a book that was smudged by Jeff Loeb right there. And then there was a smudge there. And so Peter Steigerwald, he created these remarks and covered them. And then I had Alice Sinclair sign in an S because his name is Sinclair. And then Steigerwald signed that. And then Jim Lee, Jeff Loeb, and Michael Turner. I had to salvage this book because it's signed by Michael Turner. And then I'm actually going to get this signed by Scott Williams in San Diego this year. So this will be done. So I wanted to show that. And then we talked about All-Star Superman. Here's All-Star Superman #1 signed by Frank Quietly. Okay, this is probably majority people's favorite modern Superman story. I personally think it's overrated. I didn't enjoy it that much, and that's coming from a Grant Morrison fan. I thought it was alright, but I would be foolish not to recommend it because more people like this story than not. More people like All-Star Superman. I got this because of, for historical records. And then speaking of historical records, this is Action Comics 1000. This is the Guinness Book World Record, the first superhero comic to reach 1,000. This happened in 2018. I have a lot of these books signed. Here's one right here I'm giving away tonight if we can get to 20. Please use your hashtag Stash Wars Live. I'm giving this Action Comics 1000 away tonight. This one is the cover A, signed by Jim Lee Scott Williams and the Gradient General Alex Sinclair. And then, okay, I wanted to show these because I'm speaking out to the comic book folk here and some of the things that we talked about what could make Superman comics good and having expectations, right? Like things not meeting your expectations. Man of Steel. So Brian Michael Bendis made his debut to DC Comics in Action Comics 1000, and then they did this miniseries that was based off of Action Comics 1000, and it continued the story, right? And so I got these signed. This is signed by Bendis, Yvonne Reese, Adam Hughes, who barely does interiors, Adam Hughes, Bendis, and Jason Fabok. Now, the reason why I brought this up is because that led into Superman #1, right? So this is Bendis, Yvonne, David Mack, Bendis, Yvonne, Alice Sinclair, and Adam Hughes. We were expecting Superman to be good, and it wasn't, okay? But I love these covers, and so that's why I got them signed, and, these were all free sigs. But I wanted to show you that everyone was expecting Bendis to really, shine because of, his success over at Marvel, but it didn't really work well with Superman. And yes, he tried to make Superman optimistic. He tried to do a lot of things that Superman is known for, but it didn't work. And so that's why I wanted to ask the question tonight. What makes a good Superman story for comics, right? Because Bendis he tried to do an optimistic Superman. He tried to make a family man Superman, but it didn't resonate with the audience, okay? So I'm not recommending this. I'm actually using this as a discussion point as to like how there are things characteristics of Superman that we want, but even with that, we might not want the outcome. So it's really not about the actual characteristics of the story. It's really the creativity. So it's not the IP, it's the creativity. It's always that first. Creativity first, everything else second. And so the reason why Superman as a comic hasn't really been as successful as a while is because of creativity. And now we're entering, somebody mentioned Richard Donner. Well, guess what? This comic's written by Richard Donner and Jeff Johns. This is Superman Last Son. I love this story. I definitely recommend reading it. I got these signed by, not by Richard Donner. I never met him. Wish I could, but Adam Kubert and Jeff Johns. So I definitely recommend these. And this was actually a cool one because it was like, a Phantom Zone issue where it was, I like what they did with the Kryptonian link, text. But then this was actually 3D. So you could actually read this issue in 3D. So that was cool. And then there was a Bizarro story about Jeff Johns and the Goon artist Eric Powell. So this is double signed by Jeff Johns and Eric Powell. Like this whole, like I recommend all of this stuff. Here it is right here. Superman from the Bizarre World. These are all trades you can get for cheap now if you wanted to just read them. But these are good Superman stories that I read in the 21st century. This is all good stuff. And this is still all Richard Donner and Jeff Johns. So the creator and lead writer for Superman 78 with his apprentice, Jeff Johns. And so now we're in what I love right here. Now we're entering this is some of my favorite Superman here. Superman and the Legion of Superheroes. This is fantastic. I highly recommend you read this. Okay? I highly recommend that. Here's the trade. This is Gary Frank and Jeff Johns in the beginning. So this is what started all. Hopefully, if Gary Frank shows up at New York Comic Con, I'm getting these signed by Gary Frank. Pick this up. Let us know in the chat if you read Superman and the Legion of Superheroes. Definitely fantastic story.
Do you have a copy of the beer issue?
I wish, dude. You know what? When they brought that up, I went back because that's coming up right now. That's in the Superman Brainiac.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm coming up to that right now. So yeah, this is all Legion. I love this. These are all signed by Jeff Johns. Hopefully, I'll get Gary Frank. Now we're with Brainiac. Now this is my number one Superman story. Okay, of the 2000s. This is sick. You want to see awesome art? You don't need to know what happened before it. This is Superman. This is like they could make a Superman movie based off of this, and it would slap. It would slap so hard. Superman Brainiac. Look at these covers. If you haven't read Superman Brainiac, you're slipping. This to me is better than All-Star Superman. Here we go. Did you talking about this here? This cover here, SCG, where it's supposed to be the beer, but it says soda pop on mine. I thought I had the beer issue, but it says soda pop. Yeah, I have the beer issue. And then here's my last one. The finale of Brainiac. So, mind you, so this was what? 2008? Are you kidding me? Like, dude, so like this is the last time I liked Superman was in 2008, guys. The last time I liked Superman. So like we're pushing on 20 years. The last time I liked Superman.
I thought you said you liked the Philip Kennedy Johnson.
I'm saying like I haven't read. I've read some of it. Like he did quite a bit of Superman. I haven't read his whole run yet.
Yeah.
So I haven't read enough to give him. I'm actually I ordered some trades, so I'm waiting on those to come up to my shop. So I am going to do a deep dive on the Philip Kennedy Johnson Action Comics run. But as it stands right now, I've only read like 3 or 4 issues, and he's got way more than that. And yeah, so I just want to reiterate because these are graphic novels. I have this. Definitely read this, guys. Superman Leaves the Superheroes. Superman from Bizarro World. But this is my number one right here. Superman Brainiac. This is classic Superman. Matter of fact, these are hand in hand. So this story and then this story, it's like they're both. There we go. They're both hand in hand. So if you read this one, it'll lead into this one. And these are both classic Gary Frank, classic. If you like Christopher Reeve, Superman, if you like any of that, like that vibe, you're gonna get this from here. You're gonna get it from here. This is fantastic. Just fantastic. Okay. I have a question for you guys before we move on. And this has been a great show. Damn, I wasn't expecting so much engagement tonight. It's been fantastic. Let me check real quick. Okay, we're at 11. We need 8 more. We have 10 in the chat. Use your hashtag Stash Wars Live. Stash fan, please use Stash Wars Live. Comment to win a prize. Okay, we need 9 more. Stash Wars Live. Please let us know. by putting your comment in the chat. And we are giving away this. I'm going to go here for a second. This is what we're giving away. Action Comics 1000 convention foil variant signed. This will come with a 6-layer certificate of authenticity. And yeah, use your hashtag. We need a few more, guys. Please use your Stash Wars Live. Please use your hashtag Stash Wars Live. Make sure you guys are using it in the 6-layer feed. That way it will show up. So hold on a second. Jeez, I hate when that happens. I always do that. There we go. There we go. Yeah, but 13. Come on, 7 more, guys. 7 more. I want to give this away. 7 more. We can do it. We got 14. We're going to give away a Libra Mayho tonight. A nice, glossy, shiny Action Comics 1000. Hold on. What did it say here? The more people enter. Yeah, I know. But I'm trying to get more people in. That's the whole point. The whole point of to get eyeballs on the show, Mr. Collector. I know we're all like, we all got a little Larfleeze in us, right? We all got a little Larfleeze in us. I totally get it. You know, the Green Lantern fans know what that reference. But hashtag Stash Wars Live. Okay. And so that was our Superman Stash War. I have a question, guys. Is there a favorite singular Superman comic that you own? Did you guys show that? Did that make the cut tonight? Is there a Superman comic like that you own that's like your favorite? Like it doesn't really have to be a story wise, but like a key or anything of that nature. Collectible. Superman comic book collectible.
Justice League count?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, Justice League Justice League of America annual #1,
Which one is that? From where? What year?
1983.
And what's significant about it?
There was the first one that I got. This was my first Superman comic.
Oh, cool. So it's just nostalgic.
Sure.
Did you buy it again, like a cleaner copy of it since then?
Yeah, the copy I own now is not the copy that I owned then. And I own a page from it. Unfortunately, those are few and far between as far as they're in black holes collections. And the one I have has Atom, Hawkman, Hawkwoman, and Firestorm on it, but it doesn't have Superman on it.
But that's a good era to have them though, especially that time. Early Firestorm. That's early Firestorm.
Yep.
So that's cool. Let me see. I'm hearing some noises. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna change topics, man, and we're gonna talk about the Stash Fam 6 Flares updates. I'm sorry, 6 Flare updates. I'm thinking the Stash Fam pick of the week, but we're talking about 6 Flares update. Please put in your Stash Wars Live. Superman versus Muhammad Ali. Yep, I have that on my wall in the living room. So that, and I have that next to somebody gave me a Muhammad Ali autograph. So I have the Muhammad Ali autograph next to Superman versus Muhammad Ali, and it's signed by Neil Adams. And then next to that, I have a Time magazine frame or a Sports Illustrated. There's wherever one would be Sonny Liston. He's looking over Sonny Liston, but it's a color photo though. So I have that like in the living room, like boom, boom, boom. Superman versus Muhammad Ali sig, and that Sonny Liston photo, baby. Because the 6 there don't fuck around. But anyway, that's fire. All new collector's edition. Yes, great cover, great issue. And to me, I love that story. I'm glad you guys brought that up. That's one of my favorites because it's up. And I would have to say, thinking about it, yes, that is my favorite. My favorite Superman comic, I gotta say, it's that one. Then it's a tie. Because I have a really, really crispy, clean Superman versus Amazing Spider-Man signed by Jerry Conway and Neil Adams, and it's clean. It's like at least a 9.6, and so that one. But the Muhammad Ali, that's the first one because that was the first treasure I ever bought, and so yeah, so there's that. Okay, so next week, guys, let's just get this up. Like tonight's conversation about which is better, movie or comics. And most of us here are comic book heads, and we say comics, but we had someone here that was a movie head, live action head, and had some great points. So yes, shout out. Let me go back to him again. I forgot his name. Something 101, Integrity 101. Shout out to him because he brought a lot of great takes tonight. I love Spider-Man from 1962 to 2008. Walmart Day broke me as a true fan of the character. He's a real villain instead of a hero since he has no reason of following his model. Now, somebody tell me what
With
those.
great power comes great responsibility.
Thank you. I would not have known that. And SEG in the clutch. I love that, man. That's awesome. So, we talked about um, what was better, movies or comics. Most of us said comics. One of us said movies, but we do agree that comics are more accessible, right? Movies are more accessible. TV is more accessible because it just is. But I think we all agree that comics and Hollywood are suffering from being formulaic. And so both of them need to kind of let some creative people get in and take some risks. And so yeah. So but moving along, we're still in the month of July. Oh, that's June. I'm sorry. The wrong one. Hold on. Where? Boo. Well, I'm gonna start here. Last week we were in so 4th of July last week. So we didn't get a chance to really talk about the John Bogdanov interview and the death of Superman. And this was like a really cool Superman interview because he really talked about in depth about just the whole assembly of the Superman summit and what it took to kill off Superman. And what I was surprised about was it was really more about the wake of Superman versus the actual death. And so they spent way more time building the world without Superman than actually killing him off. So I really thought that was cool. This one says June, but it's like so. This threw me off. This is it. So disregard the June. This is July. So last week we had John Bogdanov. This week we interviewed Stephanie Williams, who is about to be dropping in September a new series of Street Sharks, a new volume of Street Sharks, and she talked about her excitement about that. But what I really loved about that interview, and that's the latest episode of Six Layers that just dropped yesterday. What's cool about that is she started off doing memes, and somehow memeing helped her with writing panels and also creating comics. So I really thought that was a unique thing. And it also tells you that there's no one true pathway into the comic book industry. Yes, we got Mark Bagley. I'm glad you brought that up. And I'm going to tell you this, Mark Bagley, a.k.a. Bags, this dude does not disappoint. Mark Bagley does not disappoint. Check out that. And that's going to be our first interview in August. I'm telling you guys, we have an exciting lineup of interviews every Thursday. So we're going to fill up the whole year of 2025 with new interviews every Thursday. At least that's our goal. And so far, we are about to fulfill that. And I got to say, guys, next week, Paul Jenkins, and that's where we are now. Paul Jenkins, Kevin Eastman, and Peter Laird's first employee. Okay, so this is TMNT's first employee. He was around for the Creative Bill of Rights. Obviously, a long tenure in Hellblazer, Wolverine Origins. This man is a bona fide legend, Eisner Award winner. He is our next guest next week on Six Layers. And Mark, I just got to get your take real quick. Obviously, it's been a few weeks since we interviewed Paul.
Yeah.
So, but just your general, and that's cool. Like, what's your general memory of that encounter with Paul Jenkins?
Actually, I cold called Paul for that interview, and that was my first ever interaction with him. He's a
Oh
cool cat,
wow,
man. He's a cool cat. I really enjoyed his multimedia stuff that he was talking about him doing the Darkness video game and like
right.
what went into that and like the emotions they tried to make you feel as the player playing that game. So I really thought that stuff was eye opening. What went into creating a video game.
I think that was a great point. And I agree with you that that was a point that I remember the most as well. Was him talking about that and how the darkness was such a groundbreaking game as far as how it told stories and how it engaged the player. So that was great. So that's Paul Jenkins next week. And then I've been saying it, and I'm going to say it again. Steve Olive, that's my interview of the year. Okay. I think that this interview is probably the most insightful interview about the evolution of comics you're probably going to see all year long because the way comics were colored really dealt with that evolution. And it's because of the technologies. And Steve Olive is the first digital color artist to be hired to do significant storylines. And he was at the forefront of digital color art for almost a decade before Photoshop. Okay. And then it was Photoshop that became the primary coloring program that we see today. And so, and just so you guys know, we're going to delve into this whole evolution of comics thing. So this is going to be a reoccurring thing. In fact, we're going to be recording Six Slayers live from San Diego Comic Con, and Steve Olive and Joe Chido are going to be one of two of our guests. Where this is going to be a hot topic about not only coloring in comics, but the advent of technology. And I'm not just talking about computers. Okay, we're talking about color guides before computers and the three and how photography changed. So before computers, it was photography within itself. Okay, so we're gonna go through that whole evolution from things being copied and things being done on a number system to things being done with photography to things being done with computers, and then that evolution, and then here we are in the age where we are using AI, and how could it potentially impact the way comics can be colored in the future. So we're going to be unpacking all that, but it's going to start Comic-Con week. We're going to have an official interview on YouTube that drops Thursday, July 24th, and then Friday, July 25th, we will be in person in San Diego with Steve Olive, the godfather of digital coloring. This man single-handedly colored 85% of the OG image. Okay? So this dude is a legend. And when you hear this man speak about his craft, I think it's really about the passion about the comics that I really enjoy most about this. And so if you're just a comic book enthusiast, it's infectious. Steve Olive, you're gonna love this interview because you're gonna be like, damn, this dude, what, 4 years old? You go back, this dude was like 4 years old, talking about like learning color theory and stuff. So this dude is a prodigy, and it's a privilege to me. Yeah, we interviewed Todd McFarlane. Might interview him again in the future. But this man is tied to Todd McFarlane's legacy as well. Okay, and so I can't urge enough. I really want you guys to check out this video. Please comment if you guys like any of our interviews. Do us a favor and comment on our videos. Let us know that you're digging what we're doing. just came out of a Superman movie. It's 3 out of 5. Thought it was good enough. I like that Maker Screen. He came in the clutch and gave us his take. And so I'm liking this array of opinions about Superman. And it makes me want to see it more. I'll probably check it out tomorrow. I'll probably check like a midday show or something. Me and my son go check it out or something. I'm gonna see what's up. But back on Steve Olive, man. Check that out. And what else am I missing here? Oh, and then I forgot on the 16th we had, remember SCG, the last time we were on, we were talking about the Energon universe, and Carl from Carl's Collection gave us an onslaught of Energon original art. And so this is the executive editor of the Energon universe, Transformers, G.I. Joe. And what's the third title? I forgot.
Void Rivals.
Void Rivals. Ben Abernathy will be joining David Barron and I for an exclusive interview. And this is his first ever YouTube interview. And so if you are a fan of the Energon universe, and he talks about stuff, guys, like Energon stuff, behind the curtain stuff. But this guy has history with some of the best DC stories. He's been an editor from the best DC stories and some of the best Wildstorm stories. So you definitely want to check out that. So we got that. Who else? And then we end off the year with Ray Anthony Height. And not the year. We end off the month with Ray Anthony Height. And then we start August with Bags. Mark Bagley, dude. Oh my God. I can't wait to talk about that. But we will talk about that more down the line because that's weeks away. But I just wanted to give you guys an overview of what's going on. And then, guys, because we are hold on, let me check this real quick. The hashtag Stash Wars Live. All right, perfect. Put that hashtag Stash Wars Live in. I'm just letting you guys know, man. We're trying to do some equipment upgrades, so I'm just doing it here. So for the next week or so, anybody want this shit that I'm about to show you guys right now, make an offer. I might mess around and accept. Just make me an offer. Head up to Stash Wars, Stash Wars on IG. Make an offer on this. This is a 9.8 David Finch all pencil. Make an offer on it, man. I'm trying to get a couple cameras, some Doug Mankey art. This is all original art here. Batman with every panel.
What is this now?
I'm saying make offers, man. I'm trying to get rid of it because I'm trying to get a couple cameras before Comic-Con because we're going to be doing a Stash Wars live event, and I want a couple cameras.
What issue is that from?
This is from Death Metal Dark Knight, and then I have 2 pages from that. This was like the Dark Metal series or Dark Knight Metal series, and it was a kind of like a what do you call it, anthology. So this story was actually written by James Tynion and Scott Snyder, Joshua Williamson, but Doug Mankey art. But then also, this is the last page of that issue, and this is a reso page from that same issue. And so, make an offer, guys. Don't be shy. I might fuck around and say yes because I'm trying to get it before Comic-Con. So we got Riso here, and look at that, dude, a decapitation. We got Jonah Hex with Batman and a Joker Dragon, and then you got Batman whooping the Justice League's ass. So you got a Jon Stewart there for the Jon Stewart fans. So make an offer, dude. Like I'm telling you. And then I got this for the people that like the digital art. Make an offer. This is the first time. This is actually, monoprint. I know guys don't like that, but this is, for the people that do, the first meeting of Batman and Batman Beyond. So the animated series meets the comics. You have that here for Batman 900. We got the Killing Joke. Make an offer on any of this stuff. Stash Wars on Instagram. Stash Wars Comics on Instagram. Make me offers on this stuff. I want to get rid of it. Like I said, over the next week or so, make an offer. You said $1 offer. That's a great. You made it. What
$1.
No, not $1. A reasonable offer, guys. Reasonable offer. But yeah, if you want, like I said, David Finch art, this is, he's really expensive to get original art. So, make me an offer you can get. And this is a 9.8 Batman #1. So this is also, he did the interiors. So this is like, it's a wham, wham, wham. You got them in interiors, you got them on the cover. So yeah, that's that. Okay, we need 6 more Stash Wars lives. It is 14 people in the chat. So please put in your hashtag Stash Wars Live. $40 Batman slab. I love you guys. You guys entertain me to say the least. At least that was an entertaining offer. But no. Put your hashtag Stash Wars Live in. I will. What did I do with it? Or I am giving away this. So going back to this, where hashtag. Oh no. Not that. So yeah, I am giving away this tonight. Action Comics 1000 convention foil variant signed by the great Lieber Mayho, who was actually credited in the movies. He was credited in the movies. I don't know why. I don't really think Lieber Mayho when I think Superman. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I wonder. I think I signed that on his IG, and I was like, for what?
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe
he's on
that.
some great covers, but I mean,
Oh,
he
he
did
did Luther. He did Luther.
he did what
that's
he did what's so funny about Truth, Justice, and the American Way.
okay.
Yeah, I don't remember that what you just said, but I do remember he did Luther, and that predates the Joker. Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. I don't have that book. I need to get that. There we go. Let's see here. Oh, now I screwed up again. I always do that. There we go. Let's see here. We're still at 14 guys. You can do it. We need 6 people to enter. Hashtag Stats Wars Live so I can run that. Let's run it. Come on, guys. Okay. What else am I missing here? Going back here. Oh, SEG. What we didn't talk about, and I'd be remiss. Last time we saw you, you were going to Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let us know what Heroes, because we're like Mark and I were definitely going next year. How was your Heroes Con experience?
It was amazing. It was amazing. And you're just talking about the overall con experience, because everybody
Overall
goes.
con experience. Who was there? And yeah,
Yeah,
what was your highlights? What you get that you thought was the best?
everybody goes for cons for different reasons, right? Whatever you go, well, if it's the celebrity stuff, you will be disappointed at Heroes. But if you go for comics, you go for original art. If you go for top tier artists, if you go for wide aisles and not being cramped everywhere you go, if you like hanging out with people that you've met on YouTube or some other form of platform, you got it at Heroes.
Awesome, man. Okay, so what was your top 3 gets, man?
Oh, I got a bunch of different art pieces. I got a bunch of. I couldn't bring myself to stand in Chris Claremont's line again and Scotty Young's, but I got all the other stuff. And what happens in Charlotte stays. Yeah, that might be fair, especially as it relates to what I spent there.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so I mean, so I got some fantastic pieces. I disappointment, which had nothing to do with Heroes, was Jim Shooter was supposed to be there, and at the last minute he canceled, which I knew why, and then of course he passed away shortly thereafter. So I had a whole bunch of stuff. Wanted to see him one last time. Of course, that didn't happen. I did get to meet. I got invited to meet and greet for comic art. And if you think Audie Granov Iron Man, if you think Assad Ribic King Thor, and if you like Cosmic Ghost Rider, this guy's got anything you want. Like, and he had it at his house, and we were just sitting there, just exchanging portfolios and stuff. Just some fantastic stuff. So, but yeah, so Heroes has got it. Heroes is a lot like Baltimore because Baltimore patterned themselves after Heroes, and so it is definitely the con to go to that has everything a comic or original art collector would want.
Man, fantastic, man, fantastic. All right, hashtag Staff Wars Live. We're gonna go on for another 5 minutes. Come on, guys. We got 13 people in the chat. We need 6 hashtags to run tonight's prize to unlock our number, which is 20 tonight. We have 14. We need 6 more. We have 13 in the chat right now. And please, this is a great time. If you haven't already, smash that like button. If you're on Six Layers right now, smash the like button. If you're on IG, head over to Six Layers. Smash the like button. If you're on Six Layers, head over to SCG Station and smash the like button because we are simulcasting across both of our channels, and we both need the love. So show us both the love and smash the like button. Yes, we work hard. SCG, okay. You were just in New Orleans. Let's end with this. You were just in New Orleans today, dog. He's getting around like you, Mark.
Well, yeah, they weren't calling me to the red carpet like they did Mark. And another thing, Mark like has all these like, hey, Todd McFarlane's over here at this random GameStop. Show up. I don't get that kind of call.
Yeah, it's you just got to be part of the
Illuminati. I know
the Illuminati.
Yeah.
So what was happening in New Orleans?
So they have GalaxyCon. So I wasn't aware of this, but actually the people that put on GalaxyCon, the vice president, I think, of GalaxyCon is the guy that used to own the Wizard World conventions and stuff, which kind of makes sense. But anyways, so had some decent people there. And I'm like, what is this? Because I've been to multiple GalaxyCons. They're a typical more celebrity type Comic Con when you think of those type these days. To have Jock, to have Isad Ribic, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, Jeff DeCal, John Beatty. I mean, there were several on there. And the great thing for a comic collector was that those aisles were ghost towns. So you just walk right up there and did whatever you want, got your little signatures like I did, and walked on and did your own little thing. There was only 2 comic booths in the whole show.
To what, comic sketch art?
No comic booths, like buying comic books.
Good, like the vendors. Okay.
Yeah. And right, I did have the wagon, as I typically do. My son, my son got this from Jose Luis Garcia Lopez today.
Oh, that's cool.
So I told him, I said, you don't realize like the legend this guy is, that's drawing this for you, especially for free. But yeah, and then this is from the 80th.
Hold on 1 second. Let me blow you up real quick. There we go. There you go, SCG.
This is
very
from
nice.
the anniversary story that Jose did for Joker. And so check out the Joker binoculars. Here's Joker in his shorts. Little inset panel there. So yeah.
Man, SCG came with the heat.
So yeah, I was able to pick that up from him. It was inked digitally, but actually John Jackson Miller. I don't know if anybody that's watching are Star Wars fans, in particular, reading of like the old Dark Horse comics, or any of the legacy actual books without pictures. If you are, John Jackson Miller is a familiar name because he's done a lot of Star Wars work. I actually got some signatures on some comics and some books from him. So I had this that I bought from the DC vendor booth years ago, and got Perillo to sign it. And there I got Jock, added Jock right there.
with the little bat logo. He was, see, it was that daddy hooked you up with the logo.
And so yeah, this is I think this is Batman Who Laughs issue number 1. Yeah, because it's got this, and I've got a 9/8 that I got Scott Snyder to sign years ago,
Oh
but
wow!
actually at Memphis in 2019. But yeah, so this is a foil. I'll get Snyder to sign this eventually. But yeah, so I just had a handful of books and went and talked to more art collectors that were there than comic book folks. But yeah, so if you're in the New Orleans area and you're a comic book guy and you don't like long lines to get to your comic book artists and writers, go to GalaxyCon.
All right, man. Okay, so y'all, man, it did that and then made it here in time for Stash Wars Live. That is dope. I mean, that Garcia Lopez page is dope. The pencils on that, the very tight pencils, man.
You
And
know,
yeah, that's the Joker.
he's not he if you're a DC guy and especially like from the 80s, if you saw any merchandising art, odds are it was him that was doing it. Like he was that style guy, and so he's not the big name like Jim Lee that everybody knows, but odds are they know his art, especially again if you're of a certain age group. So
All right, guys. So before we bounce, just want to just recap and just let you guys know what we talked about. So yeah, so which is better, right? We obviously talked about the Superman movies, comics or movies, right? And my man Mark here, he was actually at the red carpet this week, and so there's Mr. Terrific right there. You see in this. So this is and then I forgot her name. She's like a model too. I forgot her name, but yeah, Mark was at the red carpet this week, and there's Superman. There he is, Superman himself. Um, and he got a chance to weigh in on a movie. I think it has a general consensus that it's not the best Superman movie, but it's not the worst. But then there were people that thought it was overly humorous. That's where we're getting that it was a little bit out of the humor wheelhouse of Superman. Um, and then yeah, so this is great. Mark was able to go to the premiere, the red carpet, because he's a part of the Illuminati, and that's what we established tonight. So yeah,
They give the Illuminati DC passes to the red carpet. So I'll try to
yeah.
make it
So
out to each one.
we got 15 people in the chat. Please use your hashtag Stash Wars Live. We got a couple minutes. We need 6 entries to win tonight's prize, this week's prize, and that is an Action Comics 1000 Guinness Book of World Record breaking issue, the first superhero comic to reach 1,000 issues. And this is signed by the great Lee Bermejo, and he was credited in Superman's credits. So yeah, so we got 14 entries. We need 6 more to make it 20, and I will run that bad boy and send that off. What else, guys? Okay, so last words here, guys, and I'm going to start off with you, Mark. All right, so you gave your assessment of Superman, but what about your recommendation? Do you recommend people watch it?
Yeah, it's a brand new movie, man. I think it throws a good twist in there, um, that you wouldn't expect from a Superman movie. Um, what else was it? I wish they used more like comic writers to write some of the script, though. But I'm not sure what effect that would have on it. But yeah, a little less comedy I could have done with. But yeah, go watch it.
So
Go
you
give me your take
recommend it?
on it.
Perfect. You recommend it? Okay, and then also, Mark, um, San Diego Comic Con's coming up in a couple weeks, no less than a couple weeks. We'll be there. We'll be there. Use your Stash Wars Live. Oh, it's not Stash Wars Live. It's Stash Wars Live. No S at the end. So that might make it. That might make it 17. That might make it 17 or 15 actually. The Stash Wars Live. So let's see if that works. Try that again, Parker. What's left at Matt Bird? But here, I like this here. Definitely worth the new Superman movie. Definitely watch the new Superman. Thank you, Mark, for your suggestion, Mark Howard. And then SEG, you plan on watching the movie, right?
At some point, I will say that too. I think that something that they're doing differently than what I've noticed by and large is that the I have been seeing a lot of pictures post up of DC and these comic bags packs at stores and stuff, even gas stations. And I feel like that's like the thing that's been missing to tie them back and like have this symbiotic, relationship between the comics and that. And so I was actually glad to see that. I feel like that's a good sign of things to come.
Yeah, man. I'm definitely gonna watch it. I'm kind of thinking about going tomorrow and watch it. I kind of want to see it before San Diego Comic Con, just because I know there's gonna be a lot of talk about it. There we go. Let's see if that changed anything here with that. It did not. Dang it. So he must got it in there. What up, guys? DC for me. Legion of Comics. Legion of Comics. We're talking about. Everybody use your hashtag, please. That's Wars Live. What's up, Legion of Comics? We're talking about Superman. But in general, which version of Superman is better? Is it the comics or is it the movies? And obviously, we're speaking that because the Superman movie was just released, and so but then we showed a lot of footage from the red carpet, but then also we saw some footage from Spain as well. Um, Dan Mora, Simone De Mayo, and
Y recordad en septiembre la nueva etapa de Batman con Matt Fraction. Ahí no me falléis,
Jorge Jimenez. So we've been all over the place today, and yeah. So we reached our finale. I'm looking at it right now. Hashtag Staff Wars Live. We got the 14. That's good. 15. We can. I know there's somebody. We got 11 people. I know somebody hasn't used their hashtag, but that's okay.
I know
Huh?
Mark from Legion of Comics is a big DC guy. He's already seen the Superman movie. Mark, tell us in the chat, what do you think? Scale of 1 to 10. Anyway, also I haven't seen him use his hashtag Stash Wars Live to get that Lee Bermejo foil Action Comics number 1,000 rather signed. So go ahead and put that in there. Mark's probably watching from his phone and trying to juggle other things at the same time.
Right. but yeah, guys. I think we're going to wrap it up. This was a great discussion. Shout out to all the people that have watched on Instagram and that are watching on Southern Comic Geeks feed and on the Six Layer Station. We won't be here next week because I will be flying out to California to gear up for San Diego Comic Con. But we will stay tuned because we will be making announcements on YouTube when YouTube posts and as well as on Instagram about our plans in San Diego. We will be having some. Ooh, Christina Payne, use hashtag Stash Wars Live. We're trying to give away a prize right now. Use that. Use your hashtag. We will be revealing more plans about San Diego Comic Con, and it will involve some original art for some kick-ass artists. So be on the lookout. We are going to be giving away art this year in Trove. So definitely subscribe, and then we're definitely going to be doing things for members. I know I keep talking about that, but when you see what we have to offer our members, everyone's going to want to be a member, um, definitely check it out. Okay, so we got 5 more. Thank you so much, Christina Payne. Thank you so much. Um, yes, tell your homie. We need 5 people. Tell 5 people. Okay. Um, okay. So in conclusion, SEG, is there anything that you want your followers and listeners to know? Anything upcoming? Anything you got planned down the line on your channel?
Well, I'll be doing a recap video of my GalaxyCon, showing off what the folks here have already seen tonight, including maybe Simone Bianchi that I picked up today as well. And
What?
so yeah, so I picked up something else too. Um, but yeah, so it'll be forthcoming. And yeah, so Mark from Legion of Comics just dropped his Stash Wars live in the chat.
We need 4 more people.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so that'll be forthcoming. So check that out. And yeah, that's about it.
Awesome, Mark. Any signings, anything, man, that you could think of that's happening, or any just events that's happening between now and San Diego? Isn't there like Kevin Smith or something?
Kevin Smith tomorrow is going to be at Golden Apple. I think if you guys don't know about it, I think there's still a few tickets left. $69. So
Jeez.
I think they just wanted to be funny with that. But there's that. Patrick Horvath, who writes Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. He writes and draws it. It's going to be at Collector's Paradise tomorrow. Not sure which one. And then, and that's about it that I know so far that I can think of. I think Dan Reba is going to be at Things from Another World too tomorrow. So I'm not
Oh,
sure
well,
about
keep
that
me
one,
posted
but
on that. But definitely Kevin Smith. That's pretty cool, man. So hey, keep me posted on that. Let me know what kind of footage you get, and stay tuned and check that out. Okay, there we go. Shout out to Nightwing Stan. Where we at here? Where we at? 3 more people, guys. 3 more people. You can win a Libre Mayo Sig. You guys don't see these. I know you guys don't see this stuff, man. I try to get stuff that's unique, that pertains to the actual topic. Shout out to Nightwing Stan. We need 3 more people. Use your hashtag. Just shared you all. Hope you get a few. Hey, yeah. Thank you, Legion of Comics. You are the man for doing that. You know how we roll here. Um, yeah, we need 2 more people. 2 more people to run it. This is looking great. And everybody that's in here, make sure that you subscribe. You message your group. Thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe to the Six Slayer Station. We have weekly interviews. We're going to be covering San Diego Comic-Con live the whole week, okay? And we're going to have an exclusive event that we're going to premiere on the Six Slayer Station right after that. Here we go. Where we at here? Oh, there it is. Ding, 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 ding. We have landed. Houston, we have landed. Houston, we have landed. We have landed. Yes, please sub. Please sub. Everybody that just came in, make sure that you sub to the Six Slayer Station. Make sure you do that right now. Sub to the Six Slayer Station. Smash the like button. Sub to the Southern Comic Geek. Smash that like button. We want some likes here today, guys. Drop your hashtag, please. Thank you for all the people that shared. Now all we need somebody to do is tell me to run it. The first person to say run it, we'll run it. Somebody say run it, and then I will run it. This is great, man. Shout out to you guys. Run it. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. I'm about to run it. Park Place Properties.
That,
Has
that's
just
me. That's
huh?
me. That's me. You can spin it again.
Spin it again. Okay.
That's
Are we
me.
gonna
Hit it again for the people.
we're
Monopoly.
drawing again. We're drawing again. Magali.
Spin it again. That's
You say hit it again?
yeah. That's my girlfriend. Yeah.
Oh, so everybody, man, shout out to Magali there helping us out, Okay, I'm gonna run it again. I like that. I like that. That's also Jason. Make her scream. I dig that. Make her scream. He won. And I liked it because he came in a clutch. Just saw the movie and came in and joined in the chat. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. Make her scream. In the description of the Six Layer Station, you can contact us on IG or you can email us at sixlayers@gmail.com. All that is up on our page on YouTube. So you can Six Layers on IG or Stash Wars Comics on IG. You're getting a bunch of congrats.
Yeah, and actually,
Fantastic.
I don't know if he's going. He's out in California, so I don't know if he's going to be going to San Diego this year or not.
Well, make a scream. Let us know if you're going to San Diego and not just bring it and give it to you in person. Save me the shipping. So if you're in San Diego, let us know. Congrats. Okay, before we out of here, guys, let us know how we did. Let us know in the chat, how did we do this week on Stash Wars Live? We talked about Superman. We talked about a bunch of stuff. How did we do tonight? Let us know in the chat. If you were around, congratulations to the winner. Make her scream. For anybody that was in the chat tonight, let us know how we did. What was one of the things that you guys enjoyed the most about tonight's show? Let us know in the chat. We talked about which is better, Superman, the movies, Superman, the comics. We even talked about what's good about Superman movies, what's good about Superman comics. We even shared some of our favorite Superman comics that we enjoy reading, and we gave our recommendation. A Mark the Honorable Villain was at the red carpet. And I'm going to show that for the people that just hopped in. So we even show red carpet footage from Superman tonight. You see Superman here. And so, yes, we covered a lot. Thank you guys for all the people that joined in, all the people that shared in the group. Congratulations to Maker Scream. It's fantastic. I like how the community really comes together and support one another. So I really want to just thank you guys for that. I want to remind everybody, next week we will be interviewing Paul Jenkins on Thursday, and then but before that on Wednesday, Ben Abernathy from the Energon Universe, the executive editor. We will be interviewing Ben Abernathy, 5 o'clock Eastern, Wednesday next week. You do not want to miss this. This is his very first interview on YouTube. You do not want to miss the executive editor of the Energon Universe. Yes, I loved your comic comparisons of fans and norms. Thank you so much. Matt Bird, thank you so much. Do not miss this exclusive interview with executive editor of Skybound, Energon Universe. That is Ben Abernathy. And then we have Paul Jenkins next week, guys. And this is great. Be sure to smash the like button, guys. Subscribe to the Southern Comic Geek and the Six Layer Station. If you're over on Instagram, head over to YouTube Six Layer Station and subscribe to the Six Layer Station and Southern Comic Geek. Well, that's all for our show. I will be going live next week, but once we're in LA, and we might do a small little live from LA, but it won't be Friday. But I will let you guys know early next week when we plan to go live, but it will be in LA. Okay, and I can't wait. And as we prepare for a Comic-Con. So when we go live next, we'll be making Comic-Con announcements and letting you guys know about our new sketch cards that we're going to be having. So we're going to unveil that next week, and it's going to be great. So be sure to subscribe to the Six Layers Station and follow Six Layers and Stash Wars Comics on IG. Follow the Southern Comic Geek. Follow Honorable Villain and subscribe to the Southern Comic Geek. That is all for our show. We are out, guys. Peace.
Six legs.